Welcome back to the best division in football with your boys Awthentik and The Beard, the best television show not on TV. Man, we got a jam-packed recap for today, man. It's going to be an awesome one, especially considering my New York Giants, man, stole a win from the Carolina Panthers late in that game, ended up winning 19-16. The Lions handled business in Washington 36-27. I'm trying to figure out what was more stunning here, the Cowboys win or the Bengals loss, but the Cowboys either way walk away from that game with a victory, a surprising victory, I might add, 20-17. And the Eagles, man, they really took care of business here. Monday night doubleheader, man, 24-7 against the Vikings. Jalen Hurts looking like a top 5 quarterback last night. We don't want to jump the gun. I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit, but y'all know Awthentik and The Beard definitely been talking about Jalen Hurts now for about a good 2 seasons. Definitely showed up and showed out last night. And in the Giants community, man, I heard a little bit of OBJ rumors, maybe a little reunion here with Brian Dable. Heard about a FaceTime call. I don't know about what's going on with that, but I would welcome OBJ back to New York with open arms. But without further ado, man, let me bring in the best co-host in the country, man, the strong side to my left side, my brother, The Beard. What's poppin', my guy? How you living?
Man, I'm recovering. I'm recovering quite well, actually. You know, it's been a tough couple of days, but you know what? Like, I texted Awthentik. I said, you know what? That was a good loss. It was a good loss.
It reminds me of my fantasy loss a little bit, man. I was down by 80 points entering Monday night with only Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen left. Came all the way back. Was feeling real good. The fourth quarter was about to start. I was down by 7. They took my man Josh Allen and they took Stephon Diggs out the game. I felt the same way. I felt like it was a loss that needed to be had to teach me a lesson. Don't put Drake London on the bench. That boy goes off. I think you learned a lot in that Washington game too, but maybe this show will lift your spirits a little bit, get you ready for this Thursday night matchup we got going on here later on. And then Sunday, you know, y'all got a big game. I think it's Monday night, actually. Is it Monday night?
No, you guys are Monday night.
We're Monday night. That's right. Y'all got the big matchup against the Eagles, though, Sunday. That's going to be a crazy one.
I mean, we're 2 weeks in now in the NFL season, and there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of already knowns. And there has been some absolutely phenomenal football. Big shout out to Tua. 6 touchdowns. 6 touchdowns. And everybody was trying to clown him in the middle of the week when he had those statements at the press conference talking about, you know, I'm only this tall. You know, I can't see them. They can't see me. Yeah. They got to get to where I can see them.
You know, it seems to be a reoccurring theme with, like, the fans and the people that go out on a limb to try to clown players, they actually fall flat on their face most of the time, it seems like.
Absolutely. And I mean, there was a lot of exciting games. You know, prayers up to Trey Lance. He's got a long road of recovery ahead
Big
for
facts.
him. You know, and people were wondering why, you know, you pay that money for a backup quarterback when you have a team as good as the San Francisco Giants are. I mean,
49ers.
On paper, 49ers, excuse me, baseball a little bit. But on paper, you know, you got to have a insurance policy like that. And obviously, we're going to talk about another backup quarterback at some point during this show in the Dallas Cowboys. But, you know, it's just it was a lot of exciting games. Aaron Rodgers bounced back, you know.
Now, wait, before you move on from that 49ers game, what's crazy about them is they've usually found ways to have backup quarterbacks who traditionally aren't that great play pretty decent. I can remember Nick Mullins, man, coming into New York about 2 years ago, man, and they had a whole JV squad out there. It was backup running backs, backup receivers, backup tight end, backup quarterback. They put up like 35 points on the Giants. So I don't know if that's a nod to the system over there. Shanahan definitely doing his thing. He knows how to kind of work with lesser talent, I guess, and he knows how to get the best out of his players. So I do agree with you on you do need that insurance policy. If it was someone that might not have needed it, it might have been Shanahan over there. He seems to be able to do pretty well with backup quarterbacks.
Yeah, and Kyler Murray looked like he was playing video games again. I mean, that guy. I mean, sometimes he does
back
things.
And forth, man.
Oh my God. It was what was it? It was either 20 seconds or 30 seconds long, that play.
Yeah, that boy was in the backyard, definitely.
And then the bullet that he threw, the last one. I mean, Good God, like it was just. I mean, listen, I love football. Win, loss, or tie. You know, it's just there's something magical about, you know, being able to have football on Thursday, Sunday, and Monday. And it really comes together quite fast when you have Authentic and The Beard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern
Monday
Standard
with the
Time.
reactions, the Sunday morning. We be right back here to the previews, right back to the recaps. It's literally happening so fast right now. We're already in week 2. I feel like we just started the season, bro, and we're just like praying our teams aren't awful. I mean, y'all sitting pretty decent at 1-1. Like you said, a good loss. You know, it's a loss that you might have needed just to get things back in order. We're going to dive into that game a little bit too. But let's get to the chat, man, and get involved because, man, we got a couple of games to go over. And I don't want to brush over the Eagles game or the Dallas game too much today. I think there's a lot to talk about here because the NFC East is shaping up to be like we really don't know what's going on. There's a lot of questions here in the NFC East.
We have the best overall division record right now in the NFL, tied with one other division at 6-2. So, yeah, we back. Best division in football.
Man. Best division in football. Never left,
Big
man.
shout out to Dominic Palmer. Appreciate you stopping by. Says, I hope the Beard isn't too upset. Nah, I'm hanging in. I'm doing all right, but I appreciate you checking in on the Beard. The Beard appreciates the love.
Shout out Dominic, man.
Coach Taylor in the building. What's going on, Coach Taylor? Thanks for stopping by, sir. Stan says, Sac Passe, what's up, OGs?
Sac Passe, what up, Stan? Stan gave me a real nice nugget I'm going to bring up in that Giants matchup, man. Stay tuned for that, definitely.
Big shout out to Max Webster, says 1-1, baby. Thank you. 2-0, baby. New York Giants is in the house.
Sir. Yes,
Big
sir.
shout out to David. Appreciate you stopping by.
What up, dog?
Edward Squires, everybody's favorite GQ name on YouTube.
Big
and
dogs
listen,
in the building. What up, dog?
big shout out to Sebastian. I see you. He says, let's get 3 in a row. But I got to give a big shout out and an apology to Kai because Kai was there on Sunday morning for the parlay and was wondering why we skipped the Bengals Cowboys game. And I think we jinxed it because we were just like, oh, yeah, I mean, you know, Cincinnati Bengals.
Put a mark in the L column is what we was pretty much saying. They come around with that W, man.
So big shout out to Kai. I had to show a little bit of love. Marjorie is in the building.
What up,
Always
Marjorie?
appreciate it, Marjorie. Hope you're doing well. I see my man SSK Promo Ken is in the building. Sync Zappa is in the building.
Hey, with the stash popping. What up, Saint Zappa? How you living?
Nate Talks Football is here as
What up,
well.
Nate? What
And
up,
I'm gonna
dog?
let Authentic take this name. My glasses aren't working very well.
Atriox.
Atriox. That's a new name. Welcome.
Atriox? Shout out to Atriox. I hope I'm not butchering that, yo, but welcome to the fam.
Big shout out to No Mets, No Nets, No Jets in
You know what it
the
is.
building. Eagles keep pace with the Giants. He said we gotta switch it up
He
in the
flipped
title
it.
a little bit.
I like that.
Oh man, let me
Yes,
tell you,
sir.
my boy Paul, the Philly Flippers, already been coming at my neck for this
It's
matchup
lit.
against Washington and Philly. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Stick around for that Philly recap. Big
Atriox.
shout out.
I said that right. I got
Oh,
the
you did?
confirmation
There
from the
we go.
chat.
There we
That's
go.
what's up. Welcome.
Big shout out to Sabrina. Sabrina was holding down as a mod during that giant overreaction, getting all that adult spam out of the chat. Big shout out
Appreciate
to
you.
Sabrina.
Appreciate you,
you. C-Bands Never Stay Lacking is
Never.
in the building. And
Big bands.
already got to give a big shout out to the man, the myth, the legend. Tuto! For the $4.99 super chat, says massive salutes to Authentic and Tim. We all the best nuggets and roadmaps in the world, Craig. Coming back
I just watched
into
that the
actions,
other night.
and we all slap Stanky Buds.
Boyds, man. The
losers.
Boyds.
Boyds, I'm going to get it one of these days. High five, Italy.
Big shout out to Tudo, man. Tudo been leaving a bunch of comments on the videos, man. We appreciate you, bro. The support is definitely not going unnoticed, my brother.
And big shout out to Los in the building. What's going on, Los?
What's up,
we
Big
see
Los?
you.
Hope all is well,
And
fam.
my man Anthony, the bluegrass picker. Appreciate.
Yes,
Shout out
sir.
to everybody in the chat. Everybody who's watching us right now on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up while you guys are here. We appreciate all the love and the support.
You got
It's
that
time to
pat
get-
down, bro. You got the rhythm on that is just, man, you just flowing.
And the
just
beat
flowing right on
kind of
the
dropped
drop.
too, right?
I like it, man. I like it. I cannot wait to get to these games, man. So let's do this, man. Oh, I forgot to tell you, man. I definitely did catch up on Rookie of the Year. Shout out to Chet Stetman. Shout out to Henry Rowan-Gardner for winning the World Series, man. Big shout out to the Cubs.
Rosen-Gardner.
He called him a hose garden. He called him so many different names, man. My girl never seen that joint. She loved it, man. And to get to see that movie as an adult now, it was definitely a different experience, man. Like, shot really well. They did a good job of like emphasizing him as a little boy on the field, and like playing with all these grown-ups and all these adults. And man, Henry Rowan-Gardner, he had a tough start to his career, man. Wild pitch, one in the dirt, man. And then when the arm went back to normal on the last play, they had to get real creative, man. They had to get Brian Dable out there, man. They had to get extremely creative, bro. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed it, man. It was a great movie, man. It took me back to my childhood, man. Some of the baseball scenes reminded me of us as kids. I was just like, wow.
There's
man,
a couple of good, there's some good baseball movies from that time. Obviously, the classic of all classics is Sandlot.
Oh, for
sure. But Little Big League is not a bad one either. When the little kid becomes the Angels in the outfield, you know what I'm saying?
Can't forget Major League 2. Can't forget Major League 2.
That's
a lot of the fans in the New York fan base. Y'all been acting like the fan from Major League 2. They'll blow it in the playoffs.
It's Washington too. It's so spot on. You know what I need to add to the memorabilia stack? I've been going through some of my stuff because I'm like, man, some of these players have been hot. I got a Tua jersey, I got a Josh Allen jersey, but then I was like, you know what I need? I need a Wesley Snipes autographed Willie Mays Hayes jersey.
That would be fire. You more of the Wesley Snipes Willie Mays Hayes over to Omar Epps.
You know what would be dope? Let's go dual auto. Omar Epps and Wesley Snipes auto on a Willie Mays Hayes jersey.
Yeah, Omar Epps made Willie Mays Hayes more extravagant. Like when he got the bag,
more swaggy.
He really
let
the kids say. You know how they say when you get money, the money don't change you. It just kind of show you more who you really was. When Mays Hayes got the bag, he definitely he was swagging. The money was definitely getting to his head. And your boy Wild Thing too, dog. He got the money. The woman started changing them. He cut the hair different, limos now. Yeah, definitely different vibes when they got to the bag, man. But definitely love those classic movies. I think Major League 2 is probably on my list to go back and watch now too. Rookie of the Year, classic. I'm gonna give it a 10. That movie was great.
10.
A 10. But let's get to this first matchup, man. I'm anxious to talk about these Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys, man, were able to escape AT&T Stadium with a 20-17 win. The Cowboys jumped out to a 17-3 lead in the first half, but allowed the Bengals to tie the game in the fourth quarter. A late drive put the Cowboys in range. Brett Maher kicked a field goal to win the game, a 50-plus yarder, too. And, man, I swear to God, I had to watch that thing about 3 times.
I didn't think it went in.
I didn't think it went in, bro. Like, I was slow-moing it, pausing my YouTube, looking at it. I'm like, I did not think that kick went in. But big shout-out, man, to Cooper Rush, man. The dude definitely played a hell of a game, man. He looked solid in this game right off the bat. On the first drive, he looked like he was ready to go. He looked like he was not scared of the moment. And I heard Skip Bayless say this earlier in the week, man. I get a lot of my Cowboys content from Skip Bayless, even though a lot of it be garbage. I won't even front. Skip Bayless is the definition of a homer. But he said that there won't be a drastic drop-off from Dak Prescott to Cooper Rush. I think he was kind of right, man. They found a way to get the ball into their playmakers' hands in this game. Cooper Rush was 19 of 31, which is not that great completion percentage-wise, but it did get the job done. 235 yards is pretty good for a backup quarterback. 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions in this game. Right off the bat, man, the early 4th and 2 conversion around midfield on the first drive. They put the ball in his hands, and he throws it, and he converts a first down. I'm like, man, the Bengals might be in for a long day here. And they didn't really commit to Ezekiel Elliott per se in the running game, but I think they did just enough with both running backs. The big play from Tony Pollard really helped them out. I think they called the touchdown back, but he was right there on the goal line, got tackled. His knee was just short. He had 9 carries for 43 yards and a touchdown. Ezekiel Elliott added 15. Carries for 53 yards. 3.5 yards per carry is not that great, right? But I talked about this on the Giant Overreaction with Saquon Barkley's day. Saquon had about just over 70 yards on the day. He only had 3 yards at the half in that game too. But you got to be able to find a way to win games like that sometimes, especially when you're a team that's going to be relying on the run, which the Cowboys aren't necessarily reliant upon the run, but it's great to have their game plan to be started with the run. And in this game, they started with a little bit of run with Zeke Elliott, then they went to the pass, and you didn't see that drastic of a fall off with Cooper Rush. Noah Brown led them in receiving in this game. I thought that was really interesting. Shout out to my homie Steele, who does a show on Colin Cowherd's network. he was talking about Noah Brown early on in the offseason. I was like, I don't even know who this guy is, to be honest.
He's having a great year right now. He's got 10 catches, 159 yards, and 1 touchdown in 2 games. And one of those games, the Cowboys didn't even score a touchdown. So, I mean, he's emerging as that guy who's they needed to step up because they only had CeeDee Lamb. And, obviously Gallup is out right now, and Cedric Wilson and Amari Cooper are gone. So they needed somebody, and he's really stepped up and shown that he can be that guy.
He has, man. And, when you get to see a backup quarterback play like this, I'm going to keep it real with you. It really made me question the quarterback situation in New York. Just like you see a guy come off the bench who Cooper Rush, he had been with the Cowboys a few years earlier, but I believe he was on the Giants practice squad for a year. And then the Cowboys went back, picked him back up as a backup here. And you could come into the game and pretty much play a game management type of role for 235 yards. I mean, I think it was really impressive because, you have to rely on pieces around the team to make plays, obviously, when a guy plays that kind of a game, just around 200 yards, 19 for 31 and whatnot. But I thought CeeDee Lamb stepped up. We saw the real CeeDee Lamb in this game, 7 catches for 75 yards. So you got the help from your wide receiver core with Noah Brown, CeeDee Lamb. And then your kicker, I mean, really 2 for 2 on the day. He had the 50-plus yarder to win the game pretty much. And your defense, I mean, that defense showed up continuously in this game. Now, we're going to get into some questions here. About this game and about both of these teams actually moving forward. But before we do that, I just want to bring a little bit more attention to Micah Parsons, man. I mean, dude, today Max Kellerman said he's reminding him of Lawrence Taylor, okay? And I remember this going around on Twitter in the offseason and people saying this, and like Giants fans get really just disgruntled by that and defensive by it. But I don't think there's no reason to be defensive by that. When Kobe Bryant started balling out, and this was Max Kellerman's point, he said when Kobe Bryant was balling out, it didn't hurt to say that his game reminded you of Michael Jordan. We're not saying that this guy is Lawrence Taylor. By no means. He's only in a couple years into the NFL right now. But the way this guy is causing havoc, I don't even think he had a sack in this game, right? But the QB pressures were ridiculous.
I think he did have a sack in this game.
I think the one I wrote one down, right? And then when I went back and looked at the highlights, I think Joe Burrow got over the line of scrimmage, so it might have not counted. But I thought it was six tackles registered out, and I was looking at the box score earlier.
He's got 4 sacks in the first 2 games,
and
so
it was 2 the first game. So
he had 2 sacks. So 4 sacks in the first 2 games, 4 tackles for loss. You want to know what else is crazy? He became only the 5th player in NFL history to go back-to-back games with a pass rush win rate of 50% or higher. That means he's winning.
Dude is an animal.
More than 50% of the time, he's going at it. Like, I mean, that's
let's not overlook
astronomical number.
The Bengals' offensive line. I know they made moves last season to bring in a couple of new pieces here. They look worse.
It's not good. It's not good. Joe Burrow. I mean, the guy is like, I know you've been saying a couple of times over some of these past shows about how
tell me about it.
The hype train, you're kind of like, pulling that e-brake just a little bit more and more. And if you really look at it, like, he is just being forced to do some things that, like, he's running a lot more than what he probably wants to and what he probably should. And he picks up some first downs, and it's like he makes some good throws. And I always like how, that offense generally works because you have, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase. So he has a lot of options. So, like, it makes it more difficult on a defense to kind of like, you can't just double team one guy and he has all these other options at wide receiver. But like the sacks are it's just too much to come back from.
Yeah, it's very hard to overcome that.
13 6 sacks in the first 2 games.
13-2. Shannon Sharp talked about that, man. He said this guy's on pace to get sacked 100 times. I mean, there's no way you're going to continuously win games like that. And I know I'm one of the people who was using this as an example last year, too. Like, hey, they didn't need offensive line. They made it to the Super Bowl, so stop blaming the Giants' woes on the offensive line. But to an extent here, and Joe Burrow didn't play a horrible game. I mean, 24-36, 199 yards, 1 touchdown. But to be sacked 13 times in 2 games, bro, there's definitely a major issue there. You literally might be better off trading a piece of your wide receiver talent for a proven offensive lineman at this moment in time. T. Higgins, I mean, I think he's not a guy who is expendable to be able to just throw out there for a trade. He played well in this game, too. 6 catches, 71 yards, 1 touchdown. We already know Jamar Chase can't be that guy to get you traded. You got Boyd on the bench kind of coming in, doing some things. But they got to find a way. The Bengals average 3 point yards per play. That is awful. They struggled on third down a good bit, 6 for 17 on third down. Dallas didn't fare well on third down either in this game, themselves. I mean, 3 for 10, and they only averaged 5.7 yards per play. So for me, and this brings up the first question that I wanted to ask you and everybody in the chat about the Dallas Cowboys and this Bengals game and this Bengals team. And this is the question right here. Let me just scroll up just a little bit here. What does this say to you? Does this win say more about the Bengals' issues or more about the Cowboys' ability to win with a backup quarterback? I'm going to go to you first on this one, Beard. I'll give you my answer. Chat, y'all let us know what y'all think about this. Did this win say more about the Cowboys, or did it say more about the Bengals and the problems that they're having sitting right now at 0-2? Got one of the – they're at the bottom with like the Titans, a couple other surprising teams. The Colts they're 0-1-1. Some of these teams that we thought were going to make that bigger leap this year, the Bengals probably being one of them. I know they were in the Super Bowl last year, but people expected them to kind of either be right back to where they were, contending for another Super Bowl, and now you're sitting at 0-2. What does this tell you about the Bengals? What does this tell you about the Cowboys' ability to have resilience with a backup quarterback?
I think it's they're the most disappointing team in football, the Cincinnati Bengals. I personally expected them to be better because of the fact that they made that run without that offensive line, and they quote-unquote improved the offensive line in the offseason. I'm expecting them to come out the gate firing on all cylinders. And when I answer this question, I don't want to necessarily take anything away from the Dallas Cowboys because the Dallas Cowboys won the game. They won the game with a backup quarterback. They won the game against, a good team and coming off of a horrible performance by the Dallas Cowboys in which a lot of the people and pundits and fans around the country were basically saying that the Cowboys season is over. So to me, though, this says more about the Cincinnati Bengals because of my expectations personally for the Cincinnati Bengals. So it's scary because, you're going against a backup quarterback. You expect that team to be, taking advantage of that. And I feel like they almost, I don't want to say that they weren't prepared because that to me, I hate to say that to a certain extent unless I have some more, definitive research on that, but they just, They stumbled. You had an opportunity against a backup quarterback, and you couldn't make it happen. And I think a lot of this is, it's easy to talk about the defense. The offensive line for the Cincinnati Bengals, but the defense has not looked particularly good in these first two games either. And it's not like an overall thing where like they're the bottom of the barrel when it comes to defense statistically. There's a lot of similarities to the way that the Bengals lost this game. Defensively and offensive line wise to how the Washington Commanders lost because they just it felt like they gave up one too many big plays to the Dallas Cowboys and allowed them to put themselves in position to win the game
early on, especially.
So for me, it says more about the Bengals. I think that, they better get it together. I'm sure the statistics for 0-2 teams to make the playoffs are not very good. But, listen, they made the Super Bowl last year and nobody believed that they would except for me. So we're just going to see how the cookie crumbles from here on out. But they got to figure something out. They got to figure out that offensive line and they got to figure out how to limit these big plays. But the Cowboys definitely showed up with a backup quarterback.
Yeah, they did. And for me, my expectations for the Bengals were a bit lower. So for me, this is surprising for me from the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to say it says more about the Dallas Cowboys and their resiliency, man, to be able to win a game with the backup quarterback. CeeDee Lamb said it after the game. We are completely, what's the word that he used? Confident. He used confident in the backup quarterback. Cooper Rush can do he can make all the throws. He can do the things that Dak Prescott does. And when you look at everything about this box score and about the statistics here in this game, the Bengals almost played like they had the backup quarterback in the game. You're looking at the 3.8 yards per play. The Bengals won the time of possession by almost 10 minutes. Both teams punted 5 times. The box score was pretty even. The Bengals had a chance to win this game. With 1 minute left in this game, Trayvon Diggs made an incredible play on third down to stop the Bengals 3 and out, where they had to punt the ball back to the Cowboys with 1 minute left in the game. And you give the ball back to Cooper Rush, you thinking your defense could probably make a stop there. Cooper Rush makes a couple of throws, man. A great third down throw on the outside to CeeDee Lamb. Another one across the middle, and the Cowboys are in business now to get ready to kick a game-winning field goal. Outside of that, the first downs were equally tied. They both had 19 first downs. First downs passing was very, very similar for both teams. The Bengals ran 8 more plays on the day. The Cowboys had more yardage, and that's where I think the Cowboys capitalized was the amount of plays were similar, but they're just getting more chunks per play. That 3.8 to that 5.7 is really the difference in this game. You get down early. I believe it was 19-3 or 17-3, you get down very early in the first half. By the half, you're already down 2 touchdowns. The Cowboys are just trying to find a way to not lose the game with a backup quarterback. They did a great job. I think coaching showed up in this one because when you get a backup quarterback in there, a lot of these coaches be scared. You know, I saw that all last season with the New York Giants. We running back-to-back quarterback sneaks because we so scared of what the quarterback will do. You feel me? And here with the Dallas Cowboys, bro, they went all out. They just said, forget it. Our season is on the line here in week 2, and we desperately need a W. They came up with a W against the AFC representative from last year, man. It's a huge win. It gets them back in the conversation.
The biggest stat line for me from Cooper Rush in this game was 0 interceptions.
Yeah, that's huge. Taking care of the ball, man. And they had, I think that the was it the Cowboys tight end that fumbled? I think the Cowboys tight end fumbled it in this game too.
I think he got hurt. Schultz too. I think Schultz got banged up in this game.
You see, Sank Zappa says here, historically, 0-2 teams only have an 11% chance to make the playoffs. Us Giants fans know all about that. We were counting that for 5 years straight. Like, maybe we're going to get in. Maybe. So I got one more question, though, before we move on from this game. And this one has to do with the backup quarterback situation as well with the Cowboys. And this one is, can the Cowboys keep pacing the NFC East with Cooper Rush at quarterback until Dak Prescott gets healthy? I'll start with this one since I tossed the first one to you. After seeing that game on Sunday, I got to say, yeah, Cooper Rush, he looks like one of those backup quarterbacks, you know, from back in the day, a good McCown, one of those guys that, you know, come in and win a decent game, man. He did a good job in this game, fared very well, man. He didn't look scared of the moment. My starting quarterback looks more shaky in the pocket than the Cowboys' backup did, and that was very surprising to me. We can't forget, you know, they had no Tyron Smith at the left tackle position, too. I don't know who filled in for him, but we're talking about a backup at the left tackle position with a backup quarterback. I saw that last year firsthand in New York with Nate Solder stepping in and guys like Mike Glennon and whatever that other kid's name was, Jake Fromm. I want to forget about him. I want him to just exit my whole entire memory. But I saw what that can do when you have a backup quarterback and a backup left tackle. Things can get extremely ugly. And in this game, man, they jumped out to that early lead and they just never looked back, man. I got a game ball to Cooper Rush, man. It wasn't a fantastic game, but when a backup quarterback can step in like that and do a little bit of damage in the passing game, it's not like he just handed the ball off all day and he was like 14 of 19 or something. You know, they threw the ball a good chunk in this game, man. And he converted a lot, man. I like what I saw out of him. And dare I say, I'm a little bit worried. Monday night, we got to take on these Cowboys with Cooper Rush. We already know I'm going to save a little bit of that for the Giants game, but we already know what it is with primetime in our team. We're not that good. We're not that good.
That might be another 19-16 game.
Man, we'll see, man. If the Giants can sneak out with another victory, I'll be ecstatic about that. But I gotta say, man, yeah, like Cooper Rush, he's gonna be able to hold it down. He's 2-0 in his last 2 games starting for the Cowboys, man.
He's only two starts.
Yeah, that's looking real good, man. Big games too. It's not like he was playing, you know, some floozy teams like the Jaguars of last year or the Lions of last year. You know, I don't mean to throw that at you like that. But this guy was playing the Vikings last year, and he comes out here and he beats the Bengals. Joe Burrow and the Bengals, man. I'm excited for Cowboys fans, but I'm not excited for us Giants fans right now because this ain't looking like that 3-0 start we was thinking about before we saw Cooper Rush out there on the field.
Well, before I give you my answer, I'm going to give a big shout out to Tuto for the $4.99 super chat. Says, please make an official announcement. Official announcement. They will be at Lincoln Field January 8th. Giants away game. All Boyds losers pull up and show up or shut the hell up, Italy.
I like it. Yo, I just was looking at the tickets for Washington at New York. Them tickets was like $30, bro. Might need to cop those and jump out there, man. Starting at $30. I looked at the Philadelphia Eagles and Washington Commanders tickets for this Sunday. Them Jones was starting at like $120.
Yeah, no.
It's a lot on the line here.
A lot on the line. So listen, like I said, last question. I don't want to necessarily take anything away from Cooper Rush, take anything away from the Cowboys.
I love this tone. Because this tone already says I'm about to take a dookie on him right now.
Because, you know, the National Football League is about wins and losses, and the Dallas Cowboys won a big game. So shout out to them. Shout out to Kai. I see BB Jones in the chat. Shout out to all the Cowboys. Shout out to Monique. If you're watching, Texas boy is here. He says Micah Parsons is going to destroy y'all.
He said,
Listen,
Texas boy is here. What up, Texas boy?
the only thing that I kind of pause for concern here is generally we see this happen in the National Football League. When a guy comes out of left field, a la Taylor Heineke, a la Mike White, you know, these guys. Jay from State Farm was a bit of a different situation.
Let me highlight this comment right here. Let me shout out my homie Bookend Tackles. Real good dude. Always chopping it up with him on Twitter. Fantastic channel. Go check him out, okay? But this right here sounds like you dying on a hill of a take that you might have had. I think I saw you was a Jake Fromm supporter during that time. I don't know about the Giants doing him wrong, my guy. I think he did the Giants wrong. He kind of faked us out. And the dude wore my number in college, man. He wore that number 4. He really let me down, man. I'm sorry. Jake, get him out of here.
He let everybody down. He let everybody down. We thought, you know, Jake Fromm was a guy that he happened to have a lot of rookie cards for some reason. So, like, you know, there's a lot of people that were sitting on Jake Fromm like, all right, this is it. He's here. It's his time.
Here it goes.
And nope, didn't happen. Cooper Rush, on the other hand, it did happen. It was a big win for the Dallas Cowboys. But my whole thing is that a lot of times you see these kind of good starts out of a backup quarterback, the first 1 or 2 starts, and then when teams have, you know, I hate to sound cliche, but as soon as they get that tape, things are a little bit different, you know. And I think the Giants also have a little bit of a longer week, as do the Cowboys, obviously. But no, the Cowboys do have the same amount of time, excuse me. But, you know, it gives them a little bit of time to kind of get things together with Cooper Rush, but it also gives the Giants a little bit more time to kind of figure out where they're going to go with Cooper Rush as far as the schematically with the defense. I just, you know, you got to look at the schedule too. Obviously, Dallas plays Washington, and if Washington plays anything remotely close to the way they played on Sunday, you know, they obviously can win that game. But I think that, you know, they have the Giants, they have Washington. I think they also have the Rams, and I forget who the other team is that they have in that little stretch.
Yeah, shout out to the schedule gods, man. They definitely blessed the NFC East this year a little bit.
Yeah,
it's been tough the last couple years.
It depends. When you say keep pace, I think if at the rate in which the Eagles are playing, I mean, it almost looks like the Cowboys are going to have to win every game until Dak comes back in order to keep pace. And then who knows if the Giants are, you know, keep pulling out the rabbits out of the hats. You know, it could be difficult for the Cowboys. But when you say keep pace, as long as they stay within 1-2 games of whoever is leading the NFC East. So I think it's definitely a possibility. I'm not going to say yes or no. I'm going to pull a push out of the Giant Overreaction. If you guys aren't familiar, Giant Overreaction every Monday here on Authentic and The Beard. I'm going to go with the push on this one. But yeah, it's possible, but I would say it's highly unlikely. How about that as an answer?
Yeah, it makes me want to look at the schedule like verbatim real quick just to see, because they're talking about Dak Prescott probably missing like another 3-4 games.
4 to 6 weeks, right?
Yeah, but Jerry Jones keep, you know, bringing out like he's looking good. He'll be back sooner than you think. And I don't know if Jerry just, you know, smoking mirrors right now, but they got us coming up Monday night. They got y'all, they got the Rams, then they got the Eagles. So if Dak Prescott gets back, let's say maybe that Eagles game, maybe after it, the game after the Eagles game is the Lions game, which, yeah, you could look at those as winnable games. Rams game's going to be tough, but the Rams aren't looking as stout as we thought they would be, I'd say, coming off that Super Bowl run. But definitely some tough games. None of those games say leaning towards win there. You got the Giants here with a backup quarterback. If anything, I'm probably leaning towards the Giants on that one. Washington can beat the Cowboys. I really see it's weird. Like, I want to say that this says more about the Bengals now because the Bengals just don't look good. They just don't look good, man.
It's very, very tough looking right now for them. Big shout out to OBX Picker for the $4.99 super chat. Says, I don't know about anyone else, but my Fins are looking good. They are. They are looking good. They are looking good. He said, y'all stream is looking like ESPN.
Hey, appreciate that, fam. Shout out OBX Picker one time in the building, man. Y'all know what it is. Them Fins looking real good, man. That boy Tua was out there slanging that. People talking about he threw some passes short and people was wide open and blah, blah, blah. Come on,
yeah,
man.
Yeah. They were playing them and I heard this excuse all over Twitter for multiple games. He got all the yards against the prevent defense. And I'm like, man, listen, it's the National Football League. When you down by that much and you come back, it ain't just by here. You know what I'm saying? Those were big plays. The whole point of prevent defense,
5 touchdowns in the fourth,
astronomical,
something crazy.
The whole point of prevent defense is not to allow the big play, right?
Yeah.
There was big play after big play.
It was. And people broke it down. Sometimes they were in zone. Sometimes they were in man. The Ravens, that is. It was different schemes that Tua was beating. And, man, somebody wide open, somebody wide open. You can't blame that on the
Shout out to
quarterback.
Lamar Jackson.
He balled out.
Pay that man his money.
He balled out. I wish he could have finished that game with a W. That's the kind of game where you don't want there to be a loser. You know what I mean? Because both teams balled out, man.
Big shout out to Tuto for the $4.99 super chat. Says Authentic. As I've told you before, easy win against cowards. O-lines stand strong, neutralize Parsons, and keep Saquon, KG, Shep, and Tony on field all day and wins Italy.
I'm with you on that, too, though. I'm definitely with you on that, man. We'll see, man. Offensive line's going to have a major challenge. Who's the lineman that got sent over to Cincinnati from the Cowboys?
Lyle
Collins. He said this is going to be the toughest front we go up against all year long after the game. So that Cowboys front, man, we know what's up. Andrew Thomas looking real good right now. He's going to be in store for a good matchup there come Monday night.
Indeed. Man.
Can the Cowboys keep pacing the NFC East? Yeah, they can. The Eagles going to have to lose here sooner or later, man. You know? I really want to see who they got. Hold on. Before we move on, I got to see who the Eagles got coming up next, too.
It's probably Washington, Giants, and then
Washington, Jaguars, Cardinals, Cowboys, Steelers, Texans.
Some interesting wild card games in there.
Yeah. We need the Eagles to lose a game here, too. We'll see what's good, though. I mean, we really
I just want to win a game again.
All right, man. Well, let's take this to your squad here, man. I know you got a lot to talk about, man. The roadmap didn't get us quite to our destination on Sunday for your squad. But, you know, I know you got some nuggets in the tuck for sure, man. We'll see what's popping here. But let's talk about this matchup on time between the Commanders and the Lions. Definitely had our game second on my notes. Had to do a little bit of extra scrolling there one time, man. The Lions come out victorious 36-27 against the Commanders, man. And this game got out of hand extremely fast. Lions were up at the half 22-0. I was getting text messages from the Beard like, what is going on here? It's over. Commanders kind of get back in this game a little bit, man. Carson Wentz played some decent football, I'll say. I know you were talking about this off air about the Heineke Beehive, or whatever y'all call him, the Heineke Hive. Saying that they need to bring Heineke in because he can avoid pressure a little bit more than Carson Wentz. But Carson Wentz had a pretty decent day here, man. He was 30 for 46 for 337 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was sacked 5 times. He had a QBR of 53.5. I mean, that's not that bad, to be honest, man. That's a pretty decent game right there. You can't be looking at the quarterback, blaming the quarterback, but I was looking at the running back a little sideways, the Beard. Antonio Gibson, 14 carries for 28 yards. That don't sound right. He had the little touchdown to add to it, but that 2 yards a carry is not going to get it done. Outside of that, I saw a pretty decent game from the wide receiver corps. This is now back-to-back games. The wide receiver corps pretty much showed up. But this was a defensive type thing, I feel like, that stopped y'all from getting this win. But I wanted to go over a couple offensive stats for y'all from that core. Curtis Samuel, man, dude is rejuvenated here, man. 7 receptions, 78 yards, 1 touchdown on 9 targets. That is great percentage, great catch percentage there. Terry McLaurin seems like he's being I wanted to say he was catching the benefit of the doubt by getting these double teams, but he's definitely not. He had 4 receptions in this game, 75 yards, though, averaging 18.8 yards per reception. He had 8 targets on the day, caught 50% of them. And Jahan Dotson seems to be just doing what he does, man, continuously doing what he does with the 4 receptions on 5 targets, 59 yards. I think he had a 2-point conversion he caught in the back of the end zone. It looked just like the touchdown week 1 as well. Got a little nugget I wanted to throw out there before I throw this to you. Washington is tied for number 1 in the NFL in red zone percentage right now. They are 100%. Yep. They are tied with the Dallas Cowboys. What the hell is going on in the NFC East when 2 teams from the NFC East are 100% in the red zone, man? Jared Goff also played a really good game in this one, too. 20 of 34 for 256 with the 4 tutters on the day. This is what is so confusing to me. He had 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 20 of 34, very similar to the statistics from Carson Wentz, but that their QBR is only 0.3 difference when one of the quarterbacks had no blemishes with the 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, but one had 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. One was sacked 5 times, one was sacked 3 times. I just don't understand why the QBRs are so close for them on the day. And then the running game for the Detroit Lions, they didn't hammer the run as much as you would think with 2 good running backs like that, but they combined here for 17 carries for 109 yards. He had 2 receptions from DeAndre Swift for 31 yards, and he had the 1 receiving touchdown. But I cannot pass this off to you without talking about that man, that guy, he who is him. You see how I took it biblical on him one time. He who is him, which is Amon-Ra St. Brown, man. We talked about him on the parlay. The sun god. I like that.
That's what his name means, I think, it is the sun god.
Yeah, you were telling me that him and his bro are both named after something. Their father was like in the military or something. I think that was.
He's a Mr. Universe.
Mr. Universe. He was a bodybuilder or something crazy like that.
Like, yeah, he's the guy.
Yeah. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, we talked about him on the parlay, and the Beard had him in his sleeper category. And I said, listen, bro, that dude is not a sleeper no more. He has the NFL record now for the most games with 8 receptions and 1 touchdown in a row in NFL history. In this game, he had 9 receptions for 116 yards, 12.9 per reception, 2 touchdowns, had the big play of 49 yards over the top. I'm going to lead a 1 nugget for you because you had a nugget that was up there as well as, we were sharing a nugget here. I'm not splitting the nugget in half. That's only for me and my shorty. So I'm going to let you get the nugget for the other category he let in. And then you can tell me how y'all lost this game and how the roadmap went south.
Yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown also led the Lions in rushing yards. The guy was just a one-man wrecking crew, and he wasn't the only one-man wrecking crew in the game. But, while we were talking about Carson Wentz, let me just throw this number out here for all you haters out there in Washington Commander land saying Wentz is this and Wentz is that and give me Heineke. Listen, the guy has thrown 7 touchdowns in his first 2 games. You want to know what other Washington quarterbacks have done that? No. None. Nobody. Nobody else.
Guess too.
We haven't had a quarterback in so long. They don't even know what to do with a quarterback when they get a quarterback.
That same thing happened with Kirk Cousins. You guys had a decent quarterback, and everybody was like, "Get him out of here! Get him out of here!" Got him out of here, and then you guys still complaining about the quarterback position.
Listen. This game came down to. I tried to think about, okay, how can I? Because the thing is here, we want to be concise, right? How can I be concise while breaking down a game in which literally everything went wrong? Every aspect of the game, Washington Commanders lost to the Detroit Lions in. And listen, we got super excited in times in that first week about Scott Turner and his offensive calling abilities. He's so inconsistent. It's just like you see these drives, right? Washington doesn't have middle-of-the-road drives. They have either 3-play, 6-yard drives, or they have 7-play, 83-yard drives. That's it. There is no, in-between with Scott Turner. And it's starting to really bother me because I feel like, there's nothing wrong with praising somebody when they do something right. But sometimes it's like, you don't have to go for the mountain all the time and then, spend these days camping in the valleys. I will take the medium of the road. New York Giants.
Somebody asked to show the glass one time. Y'all know what it is.
So it's bothering me. The offensive play call is a little bit weird because how do you go in that first half? Right? And that's the other thing too is Washington is known for this. They make these halftime adjustments, right? But this is big. This is big boy football. You got to make those adjustments in game.
Yeah, after first quarter, make some adjustments.
You gotta figure it out. The first half, all 5 of those sacks on Carson Wentz came in the first half. All 5 of those sacks. Okay, so there was nothing going on. How many yards do you think we had in the first half?
Now my Giants. We went to halftime with 58 yards. I'm gonna say y'all had 41.
39 yards in the first half.
2 yards off, man.
2 first downs. 2 first downs. 39 yards. Not one single play across the 50-yard line in the entire first half. Never crossed the 50-yard line. And you want to know a lot of that has to do with? A lot of that has to do with the god-awful special teams. I don't know who in their right mind thought it was a good idea to let Dax Milne return kickoffs. And
he returned first game too, right? I did see him out there first game.
And after the first couple of times when he does it, does nobody want to tell him hey, bro, you can't do this? Our starting field position was horrendous in the first half. Yeah. It was horrendous. And then it's like people are like, oh, well, how come Antonio Gibson can't get 5 yards on a third and 5? Do you know how hard it is to run for 5 yards in the National Football League on one play? Do you know how many teams probably average 5 yards per carry in the National Football League?
Derrick Henry was over 5 in 2020. I remember that.
I mean, so it's just like sometimes as a fan, you got to have, like, I understand I'm a run the damn ball type of guy too, but there's a little bit of, that offensive line just did not play good. And not to take anything away from Detroit. Detroit's defensive line is fast. They were killing us. And that's what makes me think we were not prepared because they were running stunts. Hutchinson was all over the place. I mean, the dude at one point in the game was playing with one leg and he was still beating people. Not to mention, we lose Chase Rouillet. Now he's on the IR, so we lose our center. We had to sign Nick Gates off the street.
Y'all signed Nick Gates?
Yeah.
That is extremely interesting. Y'all signed Nick Gates?
But I don't know if it's that Nick Gates.
Is it a different Nick Gates?
I think so. He played for the Texans, I believe, last year.
Yeah, I'm about to say, hold up. How the hell? And Nick Gates Giants Nick Gates coming off that gruesome leg injury in Washington last year.
Yeah, we signed a Nick Gates, I believe.
You can't just be throwing out Nick Gates like that. You gotta let me know. It's like throwing out Michael Jordan like that. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that.
So the defense, that's all offense. Obviously, second half, much better. But that's the consistency I'm talking about. Like, you have to learn how to dial up these plays more consistently. Like, it was Nick Martin, not Nick Gates. Sorry.
Martin,
I said Nick Gates because we're talking about, my bad. Nick Martin.
You scared me, bro.
But, like, you got to be able to dial up these plays more consistently. Like, we waited. The whole reason why we got Carson Wentz is because we got to move the ball. So move the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all I'm asking for.
You did a good job of it in the second half.
Exactly.
First half, the Lions are straight owning y'all. And you're right. It's about making those adjustments in the middle of the first half. Don't wait till halftime till you get in the locker room to completely, ditch a game plan that you see is not working. Look here, man. Like, the Washington Commanders, they scored 27 points in the second half. That's the 4th most points scored in the second half in the history of the NFL. It goes to show you the lopsidedness of your first half and the second half. Now, you talked about Scott Turner a little bit, who I praised in the first week a little bit. I'm like, where was this last year? We got to pump the brakes a little bit, come back down to earth and realize who we're talking about here. He's been an average play caller throughout his whole tenure here. I think that's what he is. Until we get the proof back-to-back, it's kind of reminding me of Daniel Jones with multiple touchdowns. If you could give me the multiple touchdowns back-to-back, then I'm going to start to be talking about how you are playing well. Same thing goes for Scott Turner. For me to say that you're coaching the game or you're calling the game well, I got to see it back-to-back, maybe 3 weeks in a row at least to see if there's any difference. Because in the first half, man, it's like nothing y'all did was working. Yeah,
and I mean, defensively, we want to talk about coordinators. Let's talk about Jack Del Rio. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, the guy is.
Oh, we just don't like him.
we ain't like him. I still don't like him. And I don't think I'm gonna like him.
It's not looking like it.
But what are we gonna do? Are they gonna fire him? When was the last time we're gonna fire a defensive coordinator 2 weeks into
the last defensive coordinator I can think about that was fired was the homie for the Dallas Cowboys that came in before Dan Quinn came in.
Oh, Mike Nolan.
Mike Nolan, from wasn't he from like Atlanta?
Atlanta or San Francisco, one of those. Yeah, Mike Nolan. He was a head coach at one point, I believe. But yeah. So I mean, like, there is an obvious disconnect between the defensive coaching staff and the defensive players.
Yeah.
That's what it is, because
I want to ask you, what Jonathan Allen came into this game banged up. Was he out there?
Yeah, groin. He was out there probably more than he should have been, because there were a few of those running plays where they were running right at Jonathan Allen. But we have no depth at the defensive line right now. We have no depth at the defensive line. So, like, and then you got guys in the secondary. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown is running out there like the sun god that he is, and just the sun is all bright and big, and he's shining.
He's shining. He's definitely shining.
Because there was so much miscommunication, and I mean, listen, a lot of this it goes back to
shout out Paulie one time in the building.
Big shout out Paulie. Hail to W. Because it's like you signed William Jackson, who's a man corner, and you're trying to make him play zone. Okay, and he's struggling. Okay, you got no Cam Curl. Forrest, he has made some plays. Don't get me wrong, but he's not an every down sort of guy yet. Maybe he can evolve into that. And I mean, it's just the linebackers are the linebackers. They are just making Jamin Davis out to be like he's the worst thing since
Yeah,
the worst thing.
I saw him catching a lot of flack on social media today, man.
And he had a beautiful sack to start the game. Why they don't do this? Yes, Paul. This is 2 weeks in a row where he's had a great play rushing the quarterback. Why don't they do that? Figure out. You got to change things. Stop being so stubborn.
Now, is that what you, in a game like this, would you have preferred that, like a little bit more of an aggressive style early on, like send some pressure at Jared Goff? I mean, he was sacked 3 times on a day. That's not too crazy. But you could have sent more pressure possibly.
The thing is, it's easy to say as a fan, blitz.
Yeah.
Right? But you got to be very cautious with the way that you're blitzing and playing your secondary. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like it when they mix the blitzes up. When you sending in St. Juice off the corner, I love it when he's blitzing because he looks good blitzing. He had a good game, But it's like you can't blitz and then have your corners playing 15 yards back.
Yeah, man, I know all about that, man. The soft zones with New York. I would rather die on the blitz than die in the zone and just let everything happen in front of me. I'm one of those people. Like, I don't care if it's the end of the game and you trying to, like, stop a team from scoring a last-minute drive or before the half. I'm not one that likes that prevent style of trying to keep things in front of you. Like, if it's working during the game, and I can compare this to, like, some Madden, I'm not going to call different defense in Madden just because we got 1 minute left in the second quarter or 1 minute left in the fourth quarter. I'm going to do what I've been doing that's been working, and if it hasn't been working, then you got to switch it up and try something until something works.
Because it was obviously not working. I mean, it's just kind of mind-blowing because we talked about it after the Jacksonville game because I said, listen, the one thing that we're not talking about, it's easy to talk about the pass defense, right? But that number that stood out to me, and we talked about it in the roadmaps and nuggets, was the yards per carry that Jacksonville had in that first game, which was like 6.9, I think, 6.8, 6.9.
Yeah,
the Detroit Lions, when they didn't even have a running back lead them in rushing, yet they ran for 191 yards and averaged 8 yards per an attempt. 8 yards per an attempt. Okay, now, and 6.3 yards per pass. Okay, so listen to this. How many plays, the big play, and this is something that's not just this week. This is something that goes back to last year. How many times we come in here on a Tuesday and be like, well, if they didn't give up those 3 big plays, they would have won the game. You know how many? What do you consider a big play to be?
20
over 20 yards.
20 yards. I'll say 20. Yeah.
Over 20 yards. You know how many plays the Detroit Lions had over 20 yards in this game?
Let me go with 7.
8. 8 plays of 20 yards or more, and 2 of those include special teams plays. After the safety, what do? They do the little safety kick, pooch, punt, whatever they call it when they do that. And it was something crazy like 53 yards or something like that he took back on that play. 53 yards, 52 yards, and then 33-yard kickoff return.
Right.
Like you
can't have that.
That's what I'm saying is that in the end, that's what the problem was. It was everything across the board. You lost in the trenches. You allowed their 2 best players to make big play after big play. Your special teams were awful on both sides of the special teams. I mean, we're not even going to get into the Ron Rivera drop kick. Thank you, Steven. We're not even going to get into the Ron Rivera going for 2. I mean, listen, this whole analytics thing, maybe I'm an old man, okay?
Facts.
And I want to know where did this book come from? When did this book appear? Because when I was playing football, there was no analytics book.
There was no analytic book. Yeah, it really wasn't.
Like, so now is there just a guy on the sideline that walks around with an analytical Bible and he's like, hey, coach, page 97, paragraph 3, we got to go for 2.
As Kyle Pizzle would say, there's some geek on the sideline with a clipboard keeping track of all that stuff now.
Yeah, no, like, listen, I understand the logic of it, but it doesn't make sense to me. Does that make sense to you? Like,
no, I feel you.
Okay, you going for 2 because you want to be able, if you have to score again anyway. So if you score again anyways and you get the extra point, then it's you're winning and you're not tied, right? Like, I understand that logic, but with 10 minutes left in the game,
you're
going to go for 2.
Sometimes you got to go with the feel of the game, man. There's some stuff about football that numbers can't equate. There's just, you got to feel the flow of the game. Y'all was getting thrashed in that first half. just try to keep clawing back and get back into the game. I think going for 2, and then especially when you don't get it, you could deflate the confidence that you're getting from coming back. Washington, this is very frustrating because on third down, y'all were really good on defense, but outside of that, the defense was complete garbage.
It was bad all around. And the thing that's crazy is you don't get that 2-point conversion, and what happens? You score again at the end of the game, and you missed the extra point. So now you're down by. Now you're down by. I saw that. I said, "Listen, we talking about Wentz, and this is Washingtoning."
Yeah,
because it's
facts.
like if you don't go for 2 and you kick that extra point, right, and you miss that extra point, you're now in the game. So it's almost like the logic that you were trying to present for going for 2 completely defeats the purpose, because it's like, okay, yeah, well, then what happens if you miss the kick? Where's that in the analytical book?
It backfired on them, and in the analytical book, those are automatic, which when they back that up just a couple yards, that's really changed the game. Like, people have been missing extra points left and right. We saw the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Bengals in week 1. I mean, it was just ugly. You talking about one of the better kickers in the league, too, with, I believe, Evan McPherson from the Bengals. Yeah. Snap problems, you getting missed kicks, block kicks, low kicks. You've seen it happening all the time now on extra points, being that they push that back just a little bit. It's no longer that give me point anymore.
So, I mean, I didn't mean to go on this long tirade rant.
That's what Tuesdays are for,
man. I'm gonna round it all out by saying, look, this is the type of loss that we needed, because, either eyes need to be opened or heads need to be rolled. That's where that's where I've come down to. That's the conclusion I've gotten from this game. And also, Washington Commander fans, be better. Okay, be better. We have to be better as a fan base here, because some of the stuff that I see, like, listen, there's a reason we're not analysts. We're fans giving y'all nuggets and roadmaps. That's what we do here at Awthentik and The Beard, right? I'm not here on the couch with a clipboard and a headset, trying to figure out the do's and the don'ts. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I were to sit there and try to break down this game film, we'd be 4 weeks into the season by the time I finish with that. Because that's how bad this game was. Listen, we take it for what it was. We lost the game. Detroit beat us in all phases of the game. And listen, I'm tired of hearing we should have never lost to the Lions. I can't believe we lost to the Lions. The Lions are not a bad team.
They're
okay?
Good. Yeah,
they're not a bad team.
They're going to be in the mix, man. I don't know if they'll be in the playoffs or, in that hunt, but they're going to be a much improved team this year, man. You saw it week 1 against Philadelphia, man. They battled hard. Could have came out with the win. They ended up losing by just 3 points after being mollywopped in the first 3 quarters. Philly doesn't score in that fourth quarter, and they put up 14 and made that a game. But I think the Detroit Lions are definitely much improved. And when we started talking about this in our pre-production meeting today, I straight up told you, my first thing I said was, it looked like they were just a better team. It just looked like they were a better team, which is going to lead me to my next question for you and for the chat, too, for all the Commanders fans out there and the Giants fans out there that want to answer this, and any other teams fans. Defensively, we know that was the big issue in this game. We still got Carson Wentz numbers up here, and those numbers look really good. He outplayed Jared Goff, who Jared Goff had his wide receiver clicking completely with St. Brown out there doing major damage. But the question I got for you is, can a healthy Chase Young and Cam Curl back in the lineup fix the problems with the Commanders' defense? And chat, y'all let us know what y'all think about this, too. I know a lot of people looking at Chase Young rehabbing, coming back off that knee injury, and maybe not expecting too much. But I for one, think that he can help upgrade that pass rush. And we know it all starts up front when it comes to defense. If you can get pressure on that quarterback, it changes everything on the back end for the secondary. But what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, this is a really loaded question, and it's interesting to me because, yes, just for the depth alone of having Chase Young back kind of allows us to do a little bit more with rotations on that defensive line, which I think will be, a big improvement. And obviously, I'm a big Chase Young guy. So I think that having Chase Young, if Chase Young can be a little bit more, improved in his techniques and things of that nature, then I think, it can make a difference. And having the same thing with having Cam Curl back there now. Now you got an extra guy. You can kind of, switch people around. You can maybe run some different schemes. It allows you to do more when you have more. So I think in reality, there's no telling, because, I mean, there's so many problems and so many holes. I mean, neither one of these guys play linebacker. You know what I'm saying? So I have to be optimistically realistic. I saw Paulie.
To the no.
So I'm gonna say can they fix the problems? Yes.
You know what's
Will
funny is
they fix the problems?
I've been thinking about wording these with wills instead of can, because can leaves open like, is it possible? Yeah, it's possible, but will, that's a whole other thing.
Exactly. Can? Yes, they can, because it will allow if Jack Del Rio can get his head out of his own rear end, then yeah, because you got a little bit more pieces to the puzzle. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got a little bit more real estate to lay that puzzle out, which gives you a little bit more, opportunities and chances to make things happen. But we gonna see.
Yeah, offensively for y'all in this game, if you would have came back and won this game, I don't think people would be complaining as hard. I thought they played a pretty decent game.
Yeah.
Even being shut out in the first half. I'm not looking back at the first half against the Titans, and going, oh, man, we were shut out, man. Like, oh, we came together in the second half and got it done. Same thing goes with this Carolina Panthers game that we're about to get in here too. Like, it's a 6-6 at half. We go down in that game. I'm not looking at those offensive woes in the first half, because they kind of got it together in the second half. And I think with you guys, it's just when you got to add that L to a horrible defensive performance, it just makes it that much worse.
It definitely does. And I do want to point out one more other thing before we round this out.
Do you think?
The Antonio Gibson slander, it's got to stop also, okay? Like, I love Brian Robinson as much as the next guy. I want to see him play. I want to see what he can do, right? But if one more person says, well, when we get Brian Robinson back, he ain't never been here. The dude's never played a snap in the National Football League, so what do we know is going to happen when he plays? So listen, you got a guy in Antonio Gibson. The offensive line struggled. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be all right, okay? Let Gibson do what his thing was. And listen, that's on Scott Turner, because you didn't use Antonio Gibson in the second game the same way you used him in the first game. In the first game, it was successful, so do it again in the second game until it doesn't work, okay?
It's a good point, man.
That's
the whole
That's all I
NFC
got.
East is a very tight-knit race right now. I'm happy to be a part of it, because the differences between each team last season was so drastic. Even the step from the Cowboys down to the Eagles, there was a drastic step there. The Cowboys were a much better team than the Eagles were last season. And then you had the Commanders kind of in that third range, and they were a worse team than the Eagles. And then you had the Giants at the bottom looking worse, way worse than the Commanders, a lot worse than all the other three teams, whereas this year, it's very hard to kind of predict here. I know we got the Eagles right now looking like maybe a front runner, but it's very hard to predict which team is actually going to come out and represent the NFC East. And we know the NFC East hasn't had back-to-back division winners in forever. It's been like a couple decades or something like that that it's been. And it looks like we're kind of on course for a new division champ here, to be honest. But I think Washington could get it together. I think, Cam Curl, just like you said, man, any depth you could get back is going to be a good thing for y'all at the end of the day, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing Chase Young just get back on the field. I see the bus talk from y'all community on Twitter and stuff like that, and I just love seeing NFL players prove people wrong. I told you about this off air, man. Like, analysts and content creators and fans, calling these players trash and bust and all this craziness. I think we kind of going a little bit too far. And like I said, a lot of the times those people seem to fall flat on their face, man, because they're targeting people that are already proven up to this point in their career. I think Chase Young can come back and do some damage. It's all about just restoring that faith in his knee, so that he can know he could bend the corner. We know Chase Young's the kind of guy that likes to go outside rush over the inside rush. You got to be able to do that motorcycle lean, and that takes a healthy knee. Well, I can't remember which knee it was from him. Is it his left knee or his right?
Motorcycle lean. Great analogy.
That's exactly what it is. You got to almost get horizontal when you rushing these quarterbacks and whatnot.
Indeed. Shout out to everybody in the chat.
Definitely, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Definitely, yo. Like, my guy's going to need it, man. It's been tough. Let's do this Manscaped read one time real quick, man, and then we'll move into a commercial break and then get into that Giants game. I'm very excited to talk about that, man. We breached 1,000 again on the Giant Overreaction
1.1.
So salute to y'all for showing up, showing out on that one, man. And let's bring in some vibes one time for this one as well. Support for Awthentik and The Beard, the best division in football, is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Bars. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer to you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code AATB. That's the acronym for Awthentik and The Beard at manscaped.com. Get 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code AATB. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Y'all know what it is, man. Appreciate all y'all pulling up, man. We got about just over 70 in the building right now, man, on Authentic and the Beard, the best division in football. Left side.
Strong side.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, man. Come back with this Giants-Panthers breakdown one time. Y'all stay tuned, all right?
Your wide receiver on IR? Aw, shucks. Your running back keep fumbling every week? Man, damn it all. Well, come chop it up with your boys. We are waiver wire tight. Authentic and the Beard. Every Sunday morning, streaming live at 11 a.m.
Y'all know what it is, man. The parlay every Sunday at 11 a.m. in the morning. Every time I say that 11 a.m., it feels like it's a little bit too early, man. We might need to push that show back an hour, man.
We might need to start at 10. We might need to start at 10 a.m.
Oh, my God. Only if we're breaking down film from that Lions-Commanders game. We just start at 10 o'clock, man. But y'all know what it is, man. The parlay, man. Great vibes if you need help with your fantasy. This past week, I didn't go with my gut, man. I kept Drake London on that bench. Deontay Johnson was on my bench as well. Tried to do a slick swap with Mecole Hardman jumping in the lineup and Melvin Gordon, and that backfired. Ended up losing by 7 points. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs stack, man. That's the best stack in football. They almost got me back into that game.
Crazy.
And like the Beard, man, I learned a lot from the loss. So no more Drake London on the bench. No more Deontay Johnson on the bench, even though Mitchell Trubisky's looking extremely pedestrian these days. How'd you fare in fantasy this week, man?
In our league, I won almost with the highest score in the entire league. I was second highest score, so I went 2-2 again this week.
2-2, not too bad. I need to get George Kittle back in that lineup, man. Like, his health is really destroying my lineup. 1-1 right now, but make sure y'all check us out, man. Parlay, y'all know the vibes, man. Very chill fantasy advice. We just answer a bunch of questions. We go through a rapid fire picks in the games. We did pretty good this week too, man.
Yeah, we did. Houston Texans let me down again, though.
You
they
die
keep
on that
covering.
Houston Texans
They
hill.
keep covering, but they can't win.
Who did they lose to this week?
They lost to the Broncos. Yes,
Broncos.
But the Broncos. Man,
when I was looking at those red zone numbers, man, Russell Wilson, he's dead last in the NFL right now. He's 0% in the red zone.
The fans are counting down the play clock out loud for the head coach.
What?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, you got to go. When you get a chance, go watch that.
Wow.
It is quite entertaining. I mean, it's not like it's like you can hear it on TV loud.
Dang, that's crazy. I definitely didn't have my eyes on that game. That's wild, man. I mean, he definitely had that major blunder week 1, man, with I think it was like 50 seconds left, man. They ended up draining like 35 seconds of clock before they end up calling the timeout, man. That
and then kicked a 97-yard field goal.
97-yard field goal, and it was short. Definitely no good, man. But yeah, Russell Wilson, he's got to get it together, man. Max Kellerman was talking about this morning. When he's not using his legs as a threat, he's not the same quarterback. And I 100% agree with that, man. He's got to find a way to make that a threat, you know, keep these linebackers involved in the play, man. Start running, use your legs to get out of situations and get a couple extra yards there, man. Because, I mean, he did have like 300 passing yards in week 1, but this isn't the typical Russell Wilson we're used to.
No.
All right, man. So let's go into this New York Giants game, man. I'm looking forward to this, man. This is like this is my my repeat performance. You know, we had the Giant overreaction on Monday. So if you want, like, you know, all the in-depth emotions about that game, go back and check out that Giant overreaction week 2 video, man. That was like almost a 2-hour stream. We straight up just talked about the New York Giants on that one. With this one, I got a couple of nuggets. I'm gonna bring up some points that I didn't bring up in that game. But let's get into this matchup here with the Panthers coming to the New York Giants.
Points are on the board with 11:16 to go here in the third.
Man, the Giants pull off another comeback victory. That's 2 in a row, 2 wins with a combined score lead of 4 points. This one was pretty ridiculous if you're a Panthers fan. This is back-to-back weeks they lost on a 50-plus yard field goal. That had never happened in NFL history. They are the first. Graham Gano scored a game-winning 56-yard field goal with 3 minutes 34 remaining in this game. The Giants have won 2 games now by a combined 4 points to improve to 2-0. I'm just blessed, man. I'm grateful that we're 2-0 because we look like we could be 0-2. I asked that as one of the overreactions on Giant Overreaction on Monday. if we, somebody had said the Giants could easily be 0-2, and I agreed with that, man. I didn't think that was an overreaction. I took the under on that one. Definitely agree. Like, the way that we played these first 2 games, it all depends on the kind of team that you matched up against. If we were matched up against the Lions like you guys were, I'm pretty sure the Lions would have took care of business against us. But this game started off with, a lot of what we're used to, man. Like, we didn't capitalize off those 2 early turnovers, man. The Giants, we had the kickoff, opening kickoff fumbled, we recovered, and then 5 plays into the Carolina Panthers' first drive, they fumbled it. Robbie Anderson fumbles across the middle. So you're looking at 2 easy opportunities to get down the red zone, put up 7. And what did the Giants do? They come away with 3 on each of those. We take a 6-0 lead early in that game. And I'm feeling shaky already about that. The Giants last had 2 first-quarter takeaways in 2021 last season. It was against Dallas, where linebacker Lorenzo Carter intercepted Dak Prescott, and then Reggie Ragland recovered a fumble from Prescott. And this is why I always say that this reigns true. Last year, these 2 first games would have been losses for the New York Giants. And in that game I'm talking about with Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys, we lost that game 44-20. So that goes to show you how we didn't capitalize off the 2 turnovers in that game. We didn't capitalize off the 2 turnovers in this game, but some second-half adjustments by Brian Dable and Mike Kafka, that led us to the victory. Daniel Jones on the day, you can pull up these stats too, wasn't that great. 22 of 34 for 176 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Now that's decent if you're talking about game management. It was an okay job from Daniel Jones. I'd say he played a good game, but we all know that there were moments in this game that were drastic misses from Daniel Jones, especially going back. I know a lot of people brought this up looking at the tape. I was going to bring up this graphic on this show, but in fear of the monetization being removed, I figured I'm not going to show this graphic. But there's a play with Kadarius Toney going on a crossing route about like 15, 20 yards deep, man. The dude has like 30 yards of separation from anybody near him. There ain't nobody else open, and Daniel Jones somehow just misses him and doesn't see it. So for me, it's just like a little bit more of what we're accustomed to with Daniel Jones. 5.1 yards per attempt for Daniel Jones. His QBR was 37.1. These are not good, man. He missed Sterling Shepard on the double move route, which showed me Sterling Shepard is indeed back. Okay, Sterling Shepard in this game, he had 10 targets. He's seeming to be the guy that's the security blanket for Daniel Jones for the most part. But I just, I don't want to rag on Daniel Jones. I was telling my homie Real Mace Black on Twitter, he was like, show me your ways, Authentic, because I was telling him I found a good way to manage with a lot of the people who are Daniel Jones homers and apologists, and a lot of the way to deal with the people that, they want you to speak on Daniel Jones with realism. And I told him the way to balance it, man, is like, every time you say something negative, try to say something positive. But I'm starting to feel like this is more the same with Daniel Jones. One of the stats I brought up on the Giant overreaction on Monday was Daniel Jones' game on Sunday. This was his 6th career game, which he had 34 pass attempts and average 5.2 yards or less. To give you a little bit of comparison, Eli Manning only had 11 games like that in his entire 15-year career. So he's already halfway there, breached halfway of how many times this happened with Eli Manning. He's checking down a lot, man, and I feel like, I don't want to jump the gun on Daniel Jones here, but it just seems like the same thing with the last coaching regime. The trust factor is not quite there. They're starting to realize that now when you have to get back into the game, they're not necessarily relying on Daniel Jones. They're relying on other pieces.
Is he playing, I don't want to say playing scared, but is he playing with this idea in his mind of, I can't mess up? And it's like, it takes away from that possibility of gunslinger mentality that some of these quarterbacks have.
It's hard to gauge. I will say, when the game is tied or the Giants aren't down, you see a tight quarterback. You don't see these. You saw one throw in this game outside, like it was like outside of the hashes on the right side, where he just didn't see the flat defender at all. He damn near threw it right to him. And if that's an interception, it's game over for the New York Giants pretty much. The guy ends up dropping the ball. I think it was who's the young cornerback that they just drafted?
J.C. Horn.
J.C. Horn. I believe it was him who dropped the interception. But to me, it's just more the same. Like, this is the same slow-paced offense that we've been used to for the past 4 seasons. Daniel Jones being there for 3 of them. And I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to jump the gun, but right now the Giants are 31st in passing yards per game, 159 passing yards per game. That's not good. The Giants,
not in 2022.
6.6 yards per pass attempt is 23rd in the NFL. And we all know about being 31st in the NFL. The Giants' 8.2 yards per completion is 31st in the NFL. We are not throwing the ball downfield. It's starting to become a real, like, itch for me where I'm like, can we just, like, expose the real Daniel Jones and have this kid throw for 3 touchdowns and be slinging it 300 yards? Like, we get one game like that a year, it seems like, outside of the rookie season where we had 3 games like that where he had 4 touchdowns and over 300 yards. But it's just more the same for this kid. Like, these low numbers, you got to credit these to the quarterback. I'm sorry. And coaching. But why isn't the coaching staff trying to open up the playbook for this kid? Is it because they don't trust it? You know, I'm starting to think that.
It's hard to put your fingers on it because it's it's a whole new coaching staff, but it's kind of like some of the same stuff from last year, But you got to give a little bit of credit though to Daniel Jones because he did make some big plays in his game with his legs. He did. And let me rebuke that with something that Shannon Sharp said today. I had this quote here because I knew that was going to come up. Like, oh, he made some plays though, right? Shannon Sharp said today on Undisputed, I'm not giving credit to a guy who makes a few plays here and there, but was drafted in the top 10. And that is the harsh reality of the world we live in. Like, that's just how it is. Like Jamin Davis, for example, right? Like, he was graded on 90% of the National Football League GMs as being a late second round pick. But Washington picked him in the first round with a top 15 pick. So now you have to play like you were a top 15 pick, just like how Daniel Jones has to play like he was one of the top quarterbacks
Davis
drafted.
is in his second season, right?
Yes, second year.
I know this guy has had multiple offensive coordinators. This is now his 3rd offensive coordinator, I believe. He's had all kinds of different people in this wide receiver room, from practice squad, no-name guys, to guys who are supposed to come in and make a splash, make an impact. But just look at – I'm starting to feel like we can't keep blaming everything else, right? I saw somebody bringing this up too. They brought in Golden Tate. Golden Tate was a 1,000-yard wide receiver on 2 different teams within the same season before he came over to the New York Giants. Numbers decreased. Kenny Galladay, 2019, leads the NFL in touchdowns. Dude comes to the New York Giants. He still has not scored a touchdown in a season plus now. He has not scored 1 touchdown. Kadarius Toney, you got to be a fool to watch that kid play and think that he shouldn't be in the end zone.
That's what bothers me.
He can move.
That's what bothers me the most, I think, about this game, realizing that they are bringing him in. I think you touched on this a little bit in the Giants' overreaction. It is so clearly obvious now that when you bring in Kadarius Toney, that you're running some sort of, and I hate to use it, but for lack of a better word, gadget play.
It's a gadget play. Every time.
Now it's like those aren't going to work now. And Toney, there was one play where it was like, he had to do like some Kyler Murray stuff just to get, 2 or 3 yards on one of those plays. And then the other one was completely blown up in the backfield. So it's like, now
safety. That safety wasn't playing. I forget his name, but he wasn't playing.
You're setting him up basically. Like, you gotta get him in rhythm. And I think that in turn might help Daniel Jones. There's a little bit of the one thing about the Giants offense that I noticed is there's a little bit of it is similar to Washington, where there's some of these like drives that they're rhythm killers. And that is, to me, if you've heard me talk before about quarterbacks, rhythm is so important, in my opinion, to the way that quarterbacks play in today's football. And I feel like that some of the play calling can be a bit of a rhythm killer. And the same thing goes with Saquon Barkley too. But one other positive, New York Giants, which has generally been not positive for you guys, is, red zone defense.
I mean, defense in general. I almost
Second.
I went to write all these notes about the defense, and I was just like,
it's good.
I almost don't even want to have notes because that defense is balling out right now.
Yeah.
They're the 18 points per game is 9th best in the NFL. They're
second best
in these
red
games.
zone defense.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great stat to have 2 weeks into the season. I mean, the defense, I've got no problem. And we're doing this with backups in. We're missing both of our best edge rushers right now, still doing this. Hella problems at the linebacker position. They just signed Jalen Smith just yesterday. I think they closed the details out today. Shout out to Notre Dame one time.
Julian Love.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
But my thing, it's just like, I can't keep looking at everybody else to be perfect. We've tried a multitude of different combinations with Daniel Jones, with different wide receivers. He's had a power back with him when we had Booker doing things. We had Wayne Gallman here. We got a healthy Saquon Barkley. The Giants right now are doing a great job of running the ball. I love how they committed to the run in this game, although in the first half it was ugly. Saquon Barkley only had 3 yards in the first half, which that ain't going to get it done either. But I can't keep looking away from the quarterback. I'm sorry. And I think what Shannon Sharp says is a really good point. Yeah. I always say when you get in the league, you get in the league. You got to ball out regardless. But we can't keep making up excuses for a guy 4 years in. I don't care what the circumstances were, right? Speaking of Notre Dame, right? Brady Quinn comes to mind, right? He got to Cleveland, and they didn't give him the best hand. They dealt him a terrible hand, but nobody's looking back like, oh, man, if Brady Quinn had this, that, and the third, he would have been a franchise quarterback. So for me, it's like I don't want to rag on Daniel Jones, but I am starting to look at him like, what's going on, bro? Shout out to Stan one time, too, man. Stan always blessing me with some nuggets every show, and Stan is he way on the other side of the Daniel Jones argument. He is like, if Daniel Jones is sitting on the Giants goal line, Stan is in the opposite end zone in the stands, straight up. Lowest QBR in the NFL through week 2 per ESPN. Now, on the Giant Overreaction on Monday, I brought up a question that was talking about the comparisons between Baker Mayfield and Daniel Jones, and are they two of the same kind of quarterbacks that you're going to need help from the coaches to be able to win games with these kind of quarterbacks? Check this out. Lowest QBR in the NFL through week 2. Shout out to Stan one time. Number 28, Daniel Jones. The only other quarterbacks in the league right now that have a lower QBR that are starters is Davis Mills, Jameis Winston, Justin Fields, and Baker Mayfield. All them quarterbacks got something in common. They need help from the coach. Every last one of them. Justin Fields, I'll say the verdict is not out quite on him yet. But from what I've seen so far, all of these guys need help from the coaches. Baker Mayfield's QBR right now through 2 games is 23. Daniel Jones is 30.2. That ain't going to get it done. That's not going to get it done. And what we're doing is we're relying on Saquon Barkley offensively to try to get things clicking. Saquon, they committed to that run, 21 carries, 72 yards. 3.4 yards per carry is not great, but I talked about this on Monday too. You got to be able to win games like that with your running back hammering the ball. You saw the Bengals do that with Joe Mixon a ton last year. 20-something carries, maybe 80, 70-something yards. They still managed to win games because you're establishing the run. You're making these linebackers play a bit balanced, and they got to play sound. They got to respect the running game at bare minimum, okay? The Giants rushed for 103 yards. All of it was in the second half. They had 8 carries for 0 yards in the first 2 quarters of this game. So this reminds me of what you said about your squad. The second half adjustments are great, but you got to be able to make these adjustments in game in the first half. You notice in the first half, nothing's given. Granted, I think we only had 2 possessions in the first half. You got to find a way, and there was a short field because of the turnovers, but you got to find a way to get Saquon Barkley moving early in this game. I think they went away from the shotgun runs a little bit in this game. They tried to go back to just having Daniel Jones under center and handed the ball back to Saquon, and that didn't work out that well. You know, he ran for 69 yards in the second half, though, so kudos to Saquon Barkley. He had one run where I brought this up. He looked like Adrian Peterson. It was his longest run of the day. It was 16 yards.
That was
high kneeing, roughing people. Yeah. You just saw the power in that run. And I love seeing those kind of things. Now, wide receiver-wise, Richie James leading the wide receiver department in yards and receptions after 2 games is a big surprise for me. I mean, Richie James looked great in the offseason, in camp, in preseason games. He looked like he could definitely be a guy that was going to be used, but all Giants fans thought it was going to be Wan'Dale Robinson and Kadarius Toney and Sterling Shepard at least operating out of the slot. And we're seeing more of Richie James out here. Richie James caught 5 of his 6 targets. The one thing I love about this kid is, yeah, he had that drop in week 1, but he seems to be a pretty, sure target. Like, when they throw to him, he's making the play. Good hands. The one from Daniel Jones, this was a great play from Daniel Jones, too. He rolled out to his right on 3rd down. He threw it back across his body, and it hit Richie James on his opposite back shoulder. Richie James just snagged that thing out the air with 2 hands. I love what I'm seeing out of Richie James. Sterling Shepard as well, man. The 10 targets, I talked about that. 6 receptions, 34 yards ain't great, but it's just showing that he's involved in the offense. And there's a reoccurring theme here with the tight ends. Last season, Jason Garrett's whole goal was to try to get the tight ends involved in the game plan early. You saw a lot of games where they were trying to target Evan Ingram a lot. Caden Smith was out there the year before that getting some targets as well. And what you're seeing here with Brian Dable and Kafka, they use the tight ends primarily to block. And then they just set you up in the red zone. This is 2 weeks in a row now. You got Daniel Jones getting a red zone touchdown to one of his tight ends. Bellinger gets it was his only catch of the day. He had the 16-yard touchdown, and great second effort from him to dive out there and reach the ball out there.
The Heineke dive.
Loved it. Look, the Heineke dive. I like that. I like you got the Heineke hive and you got the Heineke dive. I like that. And the other thing I thought that was really good about this offense, too, was Andrew Thomas. PFF's got him graded as the best lineman in football right now with Rashawn Slater right behind him. Andrew Thomas is a brick wall. And Evan Neal looked pretty good in this game, too. I saw a couple of blocks from him where I was like, that's the big boy we signed, and that's exactly what we expected out of him. But just mediocre quarterback play in this game. You know, Baker Mayfield, I think that the Giants gave him an opportunity to win this game, to be honest. He showed up a little bit in that third quarter when they took the lead, but on the day,
Nice
14-29, that's not going to get it done. And you got to target DJ Moore a little bit more. You know, only a little bit more. Three receptions for 43 yards. That's not good, man. And the touchdown was like about a 15-yard touchdown. So he got, you know, a good chunk of the yards, a good third of the yards on that touchdown play where he's wide open. Cordell Flott, hey, Diggy, I'm looking at you, your LSU boy. Cordell Flott got beat on that play. I ain't going to write him off yet. It's just one play, but they did substitute him. They put in Fabian Moreau, who looked a little bit better.
Ex-Washington player.
Ex-Washington, you know, I had to give you that little nod. But the Panthers were garbage in this game. I'll keep it real with you. They didn't have their best game. You know, they were 2 for 12 on third down, or I want to say they were 2 for 12 in this game, but they're 30th on third down, period. The kid, Shi Smith, I'm not familiar with him coming out of college, but he had a rough day, man. A couple drops.
Yeah, drops.
Left Baker Mayfield out there hanging. 6 targets, 1 reception. That's not a good look. Robbie Anderson, we limited him to the big play. And Christian McCaffrey,
Fumble.
I mean, really, we didn't limit him to the big play. He got the big play late in this game, but before that, he had before that, he had only had 48 rushing yards, and then he had that long of 49, which really, like, padded those stats a lot better. That's the same drive, I believe, that DJ Moore scored on. That's the drive where the Giants defense looked like the old Giants defense. Didn't look great on that. But shout out to this Giants defense, man. They're stepping up, man. You saw plays across the board, led by Julian Love, man. He had hella tackles in this game, 7 solo tackles on the day. He recorded his first full sack of his career, too. He had a half a sack dating back to last season, but this was his first full sack, and timely as a mug, man. Like,
yeah,
it was the perfect time. It ended that drive. And it was a good hit, man. I love to see that. Wink Martindale gets a game ball from me as well, too. He's doing a fantastic job of keeping these offenses out of rhythm, man, sending blitz when he needs to, and he's doing it with a lack of personnel. I cannot wait to see what this defense does when we get everybody back healthy. And now we just signed Jalen Smith to help out this linebacker core. I hope he can come in and contribute. But for me, man, it's more of the same with the New York Giants here. We got to get better. We're fortunate to be at 2-0 right now, but we got to get better. If we want to try to keep this rolling and get to 3-0, get to 4-0, we got a tough matchup coming up against Dallas here on Monday night.
That's gonna be the big. That's gonna be the big tell right there. I think. Early season
you gotta
big
see
tell.
The offense do something.
Yeah.
I broke down these numbers for you, bro. Like, QBR is awful from our quarterback. Yards per attempt, awful. Yards per game, awful. And primetime don't yield well for Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is 0-7 on primetime. He's got 11 touchdowns and 13 turnovers in 7 primetime games. A passer rating of 78. That's not good. Those white uniforms might want to keep those at home. I don't know if they're wearing the throwback 80s vibes, but them all-white color rush uniforms, we have not fared well in those uniforms with Daniel Jones.
But they look good, though.
They look good losing. I'll give you that. They look good losing. But we're going to have to get it together, man, for damn sure, man. I'm really worried, because we have a great opportunity here. We're sitting at 2-0, and thank God for the great coaching that has came into the department here for the New York Giants. But with Joe Judge calling the game and, time management.
Different outcome.
We
Completely
be
different
0-2,
outcome.
bro, like straight up. Because the offense is more the same.
I think you got to feel good, outside of game-by-game stuff, right? You have to feel good as a Giants fan in the decision that was made for this new head coach and GM
Facts.
in the offseason. So far, I mean, it's very early, but still, it's better to start off this 2-0 instead of how this guy looks in Denver where they're counting down the play clock out loud for him,
Damn right about that.
Shout out to the Formula Fitness for the $4.99 super chat. says every content creator doesn't mention Jihad Ward. He
right.
has been balling, and he deserves some love out here. Saved a few big runs.
I'm glad you brought him up, man. He plays with a lot of energy, man. I love that sideline clip of him coming up. He was coming over to Tate Crowder, man, turning up. He had no helmet on, and he's headbutting Tate Crowder, who's wearing a helmet. I'm like, I don't know how nobody ain't come out of that with a busted lip. But you're right about that. Not enough of us are talking about Jihad Ward, and he's been balling out. And I think the reason why we haven't been talking about him is because he's not a household name. We're getting used to this, Jihad Ward coming off that edge, doing things, man. And I think he's been doing a fantastic job. You're right, plugged up a lot of runs in this game. He's flying all over. He's playing with that tenacity we talked about last year. Those players that play with that chip on their shoulder. And when you play the quarterback position, you got to keep your eyes on a guy like Jihad Ward. So I'm glad you brought that up, Formula Fitness. I saw you said you pulled up late, but you're right on time for this New York Giants breakdown, man. So I appreciate the $4.99 super chat and appreciate you pulling up. More importantly, shout out my homie James Williams one time in the building. He was here early in the chat. Appreciate you pulling up, my guy. Another realist when it comes to the quarterback position. With the New York Giants, man. But before we move on to this next, I want to bring up a couple questions for this Giants community, especially I want to see how they're feeling about this. I also want to bring up a little nugget about Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's QBR in this game was 15.9. He leads the league in interceptions since entering the league as the #1 pick. Baker, you got to get it together. I even heard a couple of rumors saying that when Sam Darnold gets back from this injury, that there's a possibility that they might go back to Sam Darnold. I think Baker's the better quarterback at the moment. He's probably got a buffer of about 1 or 2 more games before he got to get it together before you see himself on that bench 1,000.
Yeah, if you're going to bring in Sam Darnold, I mean, you might as well put in my man, P.J. Walker.
Hey, XFL standout, P.J. Walker. You right about that. He looked like garbage in the preseason, though. He wasn't looking that good. But he has shown that he could come in and do some things. I put him on that level of like a Jacoby Brissett, who played pretty decent in that game against the Jets, man. Shout out to the Jets. They got their first victory of the year, too, man.
Garrett
in
Wilson.
great comeback fashion. And what's his name? Joe Flacco, man. Joe Flacco out here doing some things, man. But let's get to these 2 Giants questions, and then we got one more game we got to go over. I'm really excited to talk about that game, too, with the Eagles and the Vikings. That was a Monday night, what do we call them, a barn burner kind of? A first-half barn burner, we'll call it. How about that?
Yeah,
so the 2 questions I wanted to bring up is, we'll get off the quarterback position for a little bit here, and we'll talk about the receiver department. Who will ultimately emerge as the true #1 wide receiver for the New York Giants in 2022? Chat, I want to give y'all a little bit of time to think about this one. Y'all let me know what y'all thinking about this one. Y'all hear the tone? You hear the Giant overreaction tone that's happening right now?
Oh, yeah.
I need y'all to let me know what y'all think about this. Which wide receiver from the New York Giants is going to emerge as the #1 guy and finish the year? The beginning of the year, I had Kadarius Toney finishing as the stat leader. Let me know what y'all thinking about this question in the chat. I want to bring up a couple of y'all statements on the screen one time. My man Kai, he's still going with Kadarius Toney. James Williams says Richie James who's leading right now in receiving and receptions for the New York Giants. Man, this beat, I got to do something with this. I got to rap on this beat, dog. This beat fire right here. This is a beat you just get them bars off. Jada Kiss vibes. You know what I'm saying? Lucas, shout out my man Lucas in the building one time. Y'all know what it is, man. He says Sterling Shepard. I'm leaning towards that, Lucas. I like that. Shout out Antonio for bookend tackles. He says it's going to be Richie James as well. Big Blue Gang says it's going to be Sterling Shepard. Shout out to Alex Hobson in the building one time. Appreciate you pulling up my guy. He also has Richie James. Bubs got Richie James. Max gives you a little asterisk here with the talent-wise Toney, numbers-wise Sterling Shepard. I kind of like that. Shout out to Toba one time, just subscribed and hit me up on Twitter. He says, Galladay, I don't care. I saw Galladay walking into his car. People was making a big deal about Galladay leaving and not talking to the media and whatnot.
That was completely blown out of proportion, by the way. That guy who tweeted that completely did that for clicks and had no merit behind what he was saying.
Yeah, trying to use his words in a real tricky way, and then people start running with it. Shout out NYBSMM5. He says it's going to be Kenny Galladay one time. This next answer is probably my favorite right here from the homie Steven Arts one time. He says it's going to be OBJ. I like that. I like that right
Comment
there, dog.
of the night.
I like that right there. And we got Quabana one time in the building also says it's going to be Shepard as well. Let me see. Alex Hobson says, much love from the West Coast. Y'all both kill it. We appreciate you pulling up, Alex. I'm going to be out on the West Coast soon, man. I got to go see my homie Sergio one time, man. He's out there killing the engineering game. Go out there and get some music cracking one time, man. Making sure we ain't got no more answers before we move on. All right. So that's that. All right. You want to go first on this one, Beard?
I'm going to go first because I prepared for this moment.
You prepared for this one?
I prepared for this moment.
OBJ?
Y'all know how I like my spiral notebooks, right? Okay, here we go. The answer to this question is quite simple, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be Sterling, hands full of silver, Shepard.
Hey, hold on. We got to show my man some love one time. Show that guy some love, man. Sterling Shepard hasn't been getting enough love. People talking about, oh, he's not going to be a Giant next year, blah, 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 blah.
Hey,
he out here balling.
Listen, he's back. You know, that single digit make you run a little younger. You know what I'm saying?
I don't like Cam Akers wearing Odell's number 3 over there.
You tweeted it about 17 times in the first 2 weeks.
I was not happy about that. I'm not pleased with that, Cam Akers. Is that a shot at my guy? Is that a shot? Tim, yo, Beard, imagine you leave the team, right? You rocking that number 8. As soon as you dip, I go to coach like, hey, coach, can I get that number 8? I want to wear that number 8. And then you see me, first game of the season, 2022, rocking number 8. How you going to be looking at me?
Hey, Awthentik, man. What's up, man?
What's going on, dog? We got beef or what, dog? You rocking my number now, cuz? And you ain't even playing that good? Every fantasy owner across the country thinking about dropping you wearing my number? Come on, cuz.
He looked a little bit better second week. But Sterling Shepard, talk about second week. You talked about his number of targets. That was 32% of all New York Giants targets in week number 2 went to Sterling Shepard.
Nuggets.
Okay? You know who leads the team so far through the first 2 games in total targets?
I'm going to go Sterling Shepard.
Sterling Shepard.
My guy.
Okay? And do you know how many targets a game Sterling Shepard averaged in the year 2021 before going down with an injury?
I'm going to go Sterling Shepard.
7.5 targets averaged per game in 2021 before he went down with an injury. Yeah. Daniel Jones and Sterling Shepard have an obvious connection. Facts. And I think that it shows in the comfortability of Daniel Jones with those targets. And I feel like that's the guy that you need to get the ball. If you want to see Daniel Jones being more productive, you got to get him in, and the amount of targets is how you get that rhythm. You know, Sterling Shepard had that big play in the first week, but it's those chain moving passes that you got to have to. And Sterling Shepard is a master at that chain moving receptions. So I think that that's important for Daniel Jones. And I think if you guys want to be successful, then Sterling Shepard ultimately emerges as the true number 1 wide receiver for the New York Giants in 2022.
Damn. You know, I don't want that to be the case because I want one of these guys, either the one that we paid big money to or one that we spent high draft capital on, to really step up and be that guy. But I think I got to go with you, man. I think it's going to be Sterling Shepard. Shout out Glock one time. He's talking about the beardisms in the building. Shout out my guy.
That's got to be a word, man. It just seems too good to not be a word, man.
I love that. I'm just reading this one that Alex Hobson said, too. He's the oldest tenured dude on the squad right now, right? Yep, he is. Sterling Shepard is the longest tenured player on the Giants roster right now. I can't remember when he was drafted. I think that was 2016 or 2015. I can't remember. Maybe 2016. But, yeah, man, the experience is definitely showing, man. He's a veteran in a locker room with a bunch of young dudes, and it's definitely showing. And I think if I just got to go based off what I saw in the first 2 weeks, I got to go Sterling Shepard, too. A lot of the chat, man, said Sterling Shepard, too. And shout out to Mr. Mini Guy one time in the building, too. He said Shepard's his favorite. I mean, Shepard is definitely one of my favorite players, man. I'm a big fan of Shepard. I'm rooting for him. You know, after that Achilles injury, a lot of people wrote him off. He didn't quite jump on that Geno Smith kind of vibe. What did Geno Smith say? Geno Smith said, they wrote me off, but I didn't write back, and then he had a horrible game. Sterling Shepard had a pretty solid game here, man. The targets are showing, and I agree with all y'all. I do think he's gonna show up. Shout out Steven Arce one time, too. I got to pull this up. OBJ going to say, come up off that 13, Sills. Sills don't even look right in that 13. When he had that pass interference call, I was like, bro, if you had on a different number, probably wouldn't have got called for that. You're messing up history here, bro. Don't. OBJ come back, that 13 got to be available, and them jerseys going to go crazy. Them jerseys going to go crazy if OBJ come back. I say it's about a 15% chance right now. They say they had to FaceTime. We'll see what's good, but I agree with you, The Beard. Definitely going to be Sterling Shepard on this one. And I got one more. I got one more for you. And I want to bring back that fire. That fire, man. That beat just make you just want to slap the dog shit out of somebody. You know what I'm saying? It really do, dog. It really do. All right, so let's get into this other question. I want to bring it back to the quarterback position here, and I really want to know what the chat feels about this one. I was very split on this. Really want to know what y'all think about this one here. Take it back to Daniel Jones. Will Daniel Jones at quarterback prevent the New York Giants from being a contender? Woo! I'm going to give y'all a little time to populate y'all answers on that one, man, because this beat is just too damn fire. All right? Let me know what y'all think, man. Is Daniel Jones kind of holding this team back? Juan Maldonado said OBJ is a team wrecker. Come on, cuz. Pump the brakes, man. Come on, dog. Come on.
Spike don't care.
He don't care about none of that. Come over here and let's win some games. Shout out my man Juan Maldonado one time in the building, man. We appreciate you pulling up. OG Knockout had some words for me in the comment section on the last video. He was like, bro, I'm going to need you to keep it real on Daniel Jones. Please. He put the please at the end of it. Like I was copping wearing the cape for my man Daniel Jones, bro. Try to tell him, man, I'm trying to remain a little even keel, man. These little youngins been coming at me like, bro, you a Daniel Jones hater. I'm like, nah, I'm just trying to keep it funky, keep it as real as I possibly can. But shout out to OG Knockout one time in the building. I just watched Friday the other day. He got Debo up there taking chains. Don't tuck your chain in when Debo come around the block, bro. Take it off, hide it, put it in the box. You don't want your bike getting stolen off. Nah, dog, okay? So when OG Knockout pull up, tuck your chain and do something with it. Put it in the shoebox. Debo ain't playing no games, but we appreciate you pulling up, my G. Let me see. Oh, man, these comments is like, y'all really on Stan's side one time. NYBSMM5 says, yeah, he will. DJ is trash, but I support because I'm a Giant. Man, said he garbage. Put him in
So
the
let me
dumpster.
ask you this. When you say contender, are we talking like NFC East contender, playoff contender, Super Bowl contender?
What you think I'm talking about, man?
I just wanted to clarify the level of contention we were referring to.
Yeah, to be in contention, at least in the NFC, bro. At least.
So
Bare minimum.
contender to win the NFC East is where we're going, or contender for a playoff spot?
Gotta be at the floor is to win the NFC East.
I would think the floor is a wild card, you know?
No, I mean, if we're gonna wild card, well, at a wild card, wouldn't you contend at least? You'd contend in the NFC East, right? All right.
Yeah, possibly.
Possibly. Ooh, Max Webster says, no, we are not contenders with Patrick Mahomes this year. Ooh, I don't know about that, dog. You might be smoking that rock over there, dog. I don't know, dog. Patrick Mahomes joined this offense. This is a whole different ball game here. You got a lot more things you can do from the coaching standpoint, from the play caller standpoint. I can't give you that, dog. Cannot give you that. We're 2-0 already. 2-0 already.
What's the percentage of teams that make the playoffs at 2-0? Isn't it like
60.
Yeah.
It's a good number.
It's a great number.
Yeah, dog.
I got
That's
an
a-
answer now.
You think you got an answer?
I got an answer now. I did a little computing.
Got the computers puting.
Man,
Shout
you
out to
already knew
Cameron
that's
one
where I
time.
was going to the camera on lyrics. God, it's just like too easy with you
Got the
sometimes.
computers puting. You ain't never got a computer puting. I'll tell you that. No lie.
One of the greatest lines of all time. I need that on a T-shirt.
I get computers puting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cameron had them wild bars. He like his wordplay was very like that on a lot of records. Like she got that Rudy Tooty. I got like everything he said was like that. I don't know why, yo, but Cam had some bars. I'll give him that. It was a very odd type of wordplay, but he had some bars. So what you got? Tell me what you got, man.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. Not.
Man said put OBJ at quarterback. Shout out John B one time. Hey, yo, tell
The
Tupac I
chat
said
is
what up.
on one tonight. The chat is on one tonight. Shout out
Facts.
to the chat. No, I don't think Daniel Jones prevents the New York Giants from being a contender.
Simple answer.
Now,
okay.
I don't think that he makes you a contender, but I don't
Gotcha.
think he necessarily prevents you from being a contender. Because let's say this, if he was at that 200 plus 2 touchdowns a game line, then he would be making you a contender, right? But if he manages to not be Daniel Jones turning the ball over and doesn't lose you games, maybe he turns out to be a Trent Dilfer sort of.
Oh, you know Giants fans don't want that. You know we don't want that, dog.
I couldn't think of another game manager off the top of my head. Brad Johnson. Oh no, Brad Johnson had a gun though. Brad Johnson could throw 40 touchdowns a game. Yeah. I mean a year. So no, I don't think he prevents the Giants from being a contender, but I don't necessarily think that I'm laughing at that comment. I'm good on that.
Would
man.
you be down for that right now?
Listen, I gave y'all a chance.
Let me ask you this. What would the Giants have to give you along with DJ to get Carson Wentz right now? Quick answer. No,
you can't. There's nothing. You don't have Ojulari and Andrew Thomas.
Daniel Jones. Oh, both of them? God damn.
Dale Jones is just for cap relief. He probably gets cut after the trade. Listen, I tried to get y'all Heineke last year for Dale Jones. When Awthentik asked me if Daniel Jones was playing better, more winning football than Heineke, I said, give him to me.
Heineke at that
I'll take him.
Too. I would have. That's. I feel bad about that, but I would have. I definitely would have. For me, man, I don't know. I don't know if it prevents, but I'll be a sucker if I take the push right now. I'll be a straight sucker if I take the push. Right now, first 2 games of the year, I'm liable to change my opinion. First 2 games of the year, Daniel Jones right now is preventing us from winning games big.
But it ain't about winning games big. It's about winning games.
It is, and I think that that's going to be a detriment later on. If he continues to play these kind of games where you're throwing 160 yards a game and a touchdown, bro, the Giants aren't going to continue to win games. Whether that's all on him or not, I'm not here to make up the excuses if it's on him or not. Right now at the quarterback position, we are seeing very, very average play. We're seeing average play. Let's keep it real. You can win with average
100%,
play.
100%. Yeah,
I think it can prevent us from going over the top, man. I look at, man, dog, you got to think about this, man. Cooper Rush just went out there and just won a game with 200-plus yards. And my quarterback averaging 160, 170 a game?
There's a problem. But, you know, 2-0 with a problem is better than 0-2 with a problem.
You're damn right about that. You're right about that. And I'm willing to see where it goes. I don't think you pull the plug on him or nothing like that right now. You got to see what he can do when he gets his feet wet a little bit more in this offense. But, man, it's starting to look a little bit like the problem is the quarterback. We have a new play caller. We're 2 games in. That's early. I get it. That is very early, right? Yeah. But the quarterback is supposed to look different in this system. The person, and I think this is a liable argument that you could present, right? We're only 2 games into the season, right? He's in a new system, new playbook, picking things up, all that. You could say all that. But this is supposed to look different. It's not supposed to look Josh Allen different, but this looks like the same kind of handcuffs on the quarterback that Jason Garrett and Joe Judge had. System is a little bit different. They're running different, more creative plays, finding a way to get Daniel Jones to make plays, but he's still making like the more his plays get made with his legs.
Yeah.
That was
he
the
just
thing
needs
last
to
year.
be. He just needs a higher level of comfortability.
Comfortability. Like
Shout out to Tudo. You know, comfortable to Italy. Okay,
comfortable.
That's
to
all.
Italy.
That's all he needs. I just listen. It's on Daniel Jones. I think we can all agree that he has the athletic tools. Right? It's a mind thing. It's a mind thing. Go listen. Y'all gotta have a team shrink, right? Give him a couple sessions a week, man. Give him a couple of sessions a week. Sit him on the couch. You know, maybe he needs to go try some of that asparagus stuff that Aaron Rodgers was smoking in the desert.
So get some hallucinogens and
loosen him up a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I got a little gummy joint upstairs, bro. That joint be looking at me. I'm scared of that thing. I'm like, I'm not messing with that no more. That ain't the vibes, dog. But I saw two funny statements back to back in the chat. OG Knockout said, "Bro, it's the quarterback," and then what was the other one? It was one that rebuted this. Here it is, right here, from Joey. Shout out to Joey one time in the building. He said he's 2 games in a new system. No one in the chat could learn an offense that fast. Sorry. Okay, so look, this reminds me of something that Kyle Pizzle said today on Twitter, and he was like, how about I let somebody come to your job and criticize you all day at your job while you're trying to make good things happen? And I said, bruh, look, I'm confident in what I do. You could bring, listen, I was in a session with J. Cole, bro, and there was nothing intimidated me. You could put Hove in front of me behind my job. I'm not going to be intimidated because I know what the hell I'm doing. And I'm confident in what I do. So bring it on, bro. Like, you could look over my shoulder all day. I'll probably perform better because you watching. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so
it's
you
really
think
like that.
That's a great point, actually. It shows on the field. It's the confidence.
He doesn't have the confidence, man. And that's kind of,
he's going to have to learn how to do it.
That a backup quarterback for the Cowboys looked more comfortable in the pocket with a backup left tackle than our starting quarterback does with his starting offensive line. That worries me.
Just, he got that PTSD.
Yeah. Is he seeing ghosts like Sam Darnold? You know, Burrow look like he's seeing some ghosts now.
Well, yeah, if you got sacked 13 times in 2 games, you'd be
seeing ghosts too,
Casper
right?
Be your best friend.
No bull. I feel you. I definitely feel you. It's definitely worrying me though, man. I don't even know if we're a contender with a great quarterback, to be honest, but I don't Max, you can't bring up Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the league, and say we wouldn't be contending. I mean, I'm sorry. Right now it's looking like they would be. But let's just say a quarterback, you know, let's say you didn't pick the best quarterback in the league or one of the best. Let's say you picked like a Derek Carr or something. I don't know if the Giants are contenders with an average quarterback like a Derek Carr. He's struggling over there with them Raiders. You know, they sitting at 1-1, I believe, right now. So I don't know. I wanted to take the push on this, but if I got to pick today, man, Daniel Jones and this passing attack is holding back the New York Giants right now. They've been maneuvering all these different pieces in. I don't know. I don't want to blame the kid. I'm not putting all the blame of all the offensive woes on him. But in a game where you got Saquon Barkley week 1 going absolutely ape, you can't put up big passing numbers off play action.
Well, all right. So what we thinking? Week 4, week 5?
What?
So you got to see some serious improvement.
No, I won't say that. I'll say if he can continue to play at the level he's playing at right now, which is average football, you don't want to mess with that.
Yeah, I'm not saying like pulling him, but I'm just saying like say you presented this question in week 5 and you guys are, let's say, after week 5 and you guys are 3-2.
That would make you happy, wouldn't it?
No, not necessarily. Listen, I want to see us battling it out for the title in the last few weeks of the season. That is our ultimate goal here at Authentic and The Beard. You know,
I mean, I wouldn't mind just y'all being at the bottom of the division, those being some meaningless games, and resting our starters either. I'll keep it funky with you too. You know what I mean? But I mean, I hear you. Like, let's say in 6 weeks, it's the same kind of play, and you're either winning or losing, and there's close games that look like the offense is the reason. The offense was terrible in the first half of the first game. They were terrible in the first half of the second game. They weren't that much great later on. Go back to that Shannon Sharp quote, man. A guy drafted in the top 10 like this, you can't be thinking, he's making a few plays and think that that's all fine and dandy. To the fans out there of the New York Giants organization, right? When you see people criticizing Daniel Jones, you should just ignore it if you're one of those people that gets up underneath your skin. It is more in the right for people to criticize Daniel Jones right now than it is more in the right to allow people to just talk that homer talk and not criticize him. He deserves the criticism. All quarterbacks in the NFL deserve the criticism. Baker Mayfield just got over to Carolina 3 damn weeks ago. Right? We're criticizing him. He has the most interceptions in the NFL since entering the NFL. I don't care about the circumstances. What wide receivers he got out there. I don't care. At the end of the day, are you producing? And that's what Colin Cowherd said. He talked about Jalen Hurts. I was going to wait till that game. But he was like, look, I don't care what it looks like, bro. Produce. He's producing W's right now. You don't want to yoke him out of the lineup because of that. Tyrod Taylor looks like he can be the same style of quarterback. But I will tell you this, Beard. If we get to about week 6, week 7, week 8, and all we have to hang our hat on with the quarterback position is he's getting a couple of 4th and 1 runs here and there and making some decent throws. Right now he's got one good drive, which was the touchdown drive to Bellinger in this game. It's really his best drive of the season. He looked really good on that drive, and they were down. When Daniel Jones gets down, I think he plays better. He plays, let me not say better. He plays looser. I talk about Jameis Winston being one of those guys, when he gets down 2 scores, you start to see a tighter Jameis Winston trying to make too much happen. He always turns the ball over. When you see Jameis with those multiple interception games, it's always because they're down by a couple of scores. With Daniel Jones, I just think, man, you got to go out. Bro, you got now 15 more games. Them first 2 games, you didn't do anything that made this organization say we got to bring that guy back. That's the best way I could put it. Right there.
Yeah.
It's the best way I could put it. You playing decent football. I thought he played winning football. I thought he played good football in the first week. Second week, not so much, man. Like, the interception in week 1 is way worse than any mistake that he made in this game. He could have had another interception in this game. But the way he just looking out there, that first half, you just looking around like, man, what's going on? And the penalties ain't helping him. You talked about those drive killers and about the rhythm and all that stuff. The Giants in this game, I want to say they had 8 penalties.
Yeah,
they had 8 penalties for 62 yards.
And they were 6 of 18 on third downs.
That's not that good. We got to up that a little bit. Let's get that around at least 50% vibes.
23rd in the NFL in red zone offense so far.
Come on, man. Giants fans have been complaining about red zone offense now for 5 years. He's got to find a way to play better. And I'm not going to be one of those people that's just going to keep giving the excuses. Week 1, I'm like, all right, you played an all right game. I ain't going to come over here and just rag on you and talk about all the stuff you did bad last season. You got to find a way to just play better, man. Like, put this team on your back, bro. We're seeing guys like Jared Goff go out here and throw 4 touchdowns in a game. Carson Wentz is throwing 3 touchdowns in a losing effort. Those are 2 quarterbacks that all y'all Giants fans that homer for Daniel Jones last year were saying these guys is garbage. We're going to get into it with the next game with another quarterback that everybody want to call garbage, which we know good and goddamn well he's not garbage. We know that. But somehow the Giants got to find a way to get this quarterback moving. They're doing a fantastic job with everything else. Look at how Wink Martindale got this defense looking. Look at how Kafka and Brian Dable got Saquon Barkley looking rejuvenated. I think the Giants now are second in rushing in the NFL. They were first after week 1. Committed to the run in this game. 70-plus yards on 20-plus carries. I love seeing games like that. Those them gritty, grinded-out type of games. But you got to get it together, man. You really got to get it together. And then the red zone, the Giants, what would you say we were, 1 of 3?
No, you're 23rd in the National Football League after 2 weeks in red zone offense.
1 of 3 in this game.
Yeah.
They gave you 2 alley-oops in the red zone on the first 2 possessions. Yeah. How are you 1 of 3?
That's the big difference there too. Is like, you know, that you could survive against a team like Carolina with that, but when you play, you know, Tampa Bay, Ravens, Packers, Tampa, exactly.
Yeah, Washington, that ain't gonna get it done against Washington.
Nah,
Philly, that ain't gonna get it done.
Nah.
You know, you thank God that, like, you know, we're getting some pressure on the quarterback and this defense is actually doing some things to keep us in these games. Big kudos to the defense, man. Big shout out to Wink Martindale. They doing major work on that defense. If there's a big surprise about the New York Giants this year, especially coming into the year with the injuries, it's that defense, man. Xavier McKinney, he's playing with a whole new type of leadership type of role that I'm loving right now. He's one of the young leaders on this team that when I'm seeing these sights and sounds and I'm seeing the way he's getting them turned up, I'm getting hyped too.
Do you think we should? You think we should throw in Xavier McKinney in the mix for the giveaway this Thursday at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at YouTube?
Big time.
I think I got a nice little Xavier McKinney up my sleeve for you Giants.
You sent me
fans.
that Eli Manning you hit, bro. You had to stop showing me that stuff, bro.
Eventually, Awthentic's gonna have a wall of cards.
No bull, dog. No bull. That Eli looked great. But yeah, make sure y'all pull up on Thursday. We're gonna be giving away another piece of memorabilia, and if it's a Giants fan, looks like we're gonna have an Xavier McKinney vibe here. Sponsored by Over the Years Sports, which is the Beard's company, man. Make sure y'all go and subscribe to Over the Years Sports as well too. He's doing a lot of memorabilia stuff. And also doing a lot of card auctions on Whatnot, man. Them joints be booming. I be seeing you selling a rack of cards.
Tomorrow night at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time on Whatnot, I'm actually going to be doing a all vintage hats, T-shirts, crew necks, and jackets tomorrow on Whatnot. There's a link in the description of this video. If you guys use that, you get $10 off your first purchase on Whatnot.
Ooh, that's what's up, man. That's awesome. So make sure y'all capitalize on that deal. We'll try to drop something in the community tomorrow morning as well to give y'all a little bit of a reminder, man, so y'all can pull up, man. If y'all are into memorabilia and cards, you can pull up on the Beard. I can't wait till it gets a little colder, bro. I got that Giants jacket. I'm trying to rock some hoodies, man. You know, I got all the beanies. Beanie Gang ain't even showed up all year long. I've been snapped back all year. You know, I got them beanies out here, bro. But I think we can put the button on this Giants game, man. That's a frustrating win if there's ever been one. That's a frustrating win, you know?
Hey, man, you want to swap with my ultra frustrating loss for that frustrating win?
Nah, you know, I think I'm good. I think I'm good over here. I'll take that 2-0 all day, that 60% playoff percentage. I hope that works out for the Giants, man, because I feel like we should have made the playoffs in 2020 over you guys. You guys got the tank job from the Eagles, who we're going to get into here next, man. They don't seem to be putting Jalen Hurts on the bench anytime soon, especially after that one. But that Monday night matchup, I thought it was going to be a lot closer game. I'll keep it real with you. But that one was, controlled by the Eagles. But let's get into this one. Let me move this here. I just went like 30 minutes with no notes, man. Let me scroll up one time. Get back to this Eagles game one time, man. The Vikings traveled to Philadelphia, man, to take on the Eagles. Eagles end up winning this game 24-7. 0 points scored in the second half by either team. I don't know how the hell that happened because the game didn't seem that boring for the third and fourth quarter either. But the Eagles definitely turned up in this one, and we got to talk about Jalen Hurts right off the bat, man. You can go ahead and cue that for me. Jalen Hurts is the first player ever in NFL history to record a 80% completion percentage, 300-plus passing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Talked about that Colin Cowherd quote, man. He said he's productive. He said, I don't care what it looked like. Are you productive? He had Mark Sanchez on the show today. They were talking about Jalen Hurts all day. Jalen Hurts was 26 of 31 for 333 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, which definitely wasn't his fault. I know he's looking at his wide receivers like, what the hell's going on that one? 11 carries for 57 yards. His QBR was 78.3. Late in that game, his passer rating was at 120. He ended with 108, I believe. Running game with the Philadelphia Eagles, we know that's their bread and butter. And Colin said something else about this game I thought that was very interesting. It reminded me of the 2020 Cleveland Browns. The Philadelphia Eagles know their identity. They don't get away from it.
Such a great thing.
Yeah,
such
man,
a great
when you
thing.
know what you can rely on to win games. And that's that RPO running the rock. Miles Sanders, man, contributed in a major way in this game. These are them kind of grind-out games I'm talking about. 17 rushes for 80 yards. That's not that great when you look at the yards per carry and whatnot, but it shows the commitment to the run, man. And A.J. Brown showed up in this game, too, in a major way. I love what they're doing with that RPO. It's the same slant route every week. Week in and week out, A.J. Brown is catching that slant off the RPO. You see Jalen Hurts fake the handoff, look right. He's wide open every time. Easy throw. He's hitting them. And in this game, man, Jalen Hurts made some throws where I was like, golly. There was one that got called back on third down.
The highlight you were talking about.
That's the highlight I was talking about. That one's going to be on the highlight reel, even though it got called back. He scrambles around. He rolls to his right, makes a throw back across his body. I'm talking about a dart right on the sidelines, bro. He looked to the sidelines and was about to do the Aaron Rodgers belt joint, and then he looked and saw the flag on the field and was like, yo, yo, dude is playing fantastic football. And, like, me and the Beard, man, we've been on this Jalen Hurts hype train since he was a rookie, since he came into the game. I use my eyes first, bro. I don't give a damn what the completion percentage is saying. You got to use your eyes. And this kid has shown you that he's a playmaker from day one. 26 total touchdowns last year. He was the only quarterback in the top 10 in rushing touchdowns in the league. He had 10 rushing touchdowns. He's showing you what he can do now when you give him a couple of weapons. I see people trying to blame this on the weapons about Jalen Hurts. They're saying, well, he's got everything perfect for him over there, because we know in New York, that's all people complain about is the situation around the quarterback, blah, 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 right? Jalen Hurts did this same kind of vibe last year on the ground. They didn't go into the season people saying, man, if the Philadelphia Eagles are going to the playoffs, or the Eagles got a real shot to win the NFC East, even though they ended up finishing second.
Last year, I was one of the people who picked the Eagles to go like 5-11.
Definitely thought they were going to win 5 games. They had like Greg Ward. I forget this wide
Travis
receiver
Fulgham, who just got cut from somebody's practice squad. So he's like a complete
when he played. He was all right, right?
He was
and then
really
you had
good.
a rookie in Devonta Smith. You know, you had Miles Sanders was banged up all year. So they go out there and they go sign Jordan Howard. People probably looking at that like, so? And then Jalen Hurts gets that man paid somehow. He made him get a little bit of a bag here after it worked out with the RPO. Half of the running game is based upon Jalen Hurts, and the reason why they end up getting yards is because these DNs are focused on Jalen Hurts trying to contain. He's doing a great job over there. What I loved about this game, the signature throw for me was the one to Quez Watkins across the middle. And you hear people go, he's wide open, and like, so
you still got to make the throw.
You still got to make the throw, and that was
you
got to.
In order for that play to be as big as that play is, the throw has to be money, because you got to be able to let the receiver catch the ball and go. You know what I'm saying?
Got to catch it in stride, man. That throw was perfect.
If you throw to a wide open receiver and you just lollipop it in or you underthrow it, it's not as big of a play. For me, this is the thing. Last week, we talked about Jalen Hurts. Good game, right? But what did we want to see from him? We wanted to see that completion percentage go up.
Mm-hmm.
It went up to 83%. 83%. And listen, this isn't a 14 for 17 83%. Okay. This is a 26 for 31%.
Yeah.
Okay. And this isn't a 120 yards on 26 or 31. This is 333 yards.
Yeah. You can't forget that he equated for 333 total yards last week. He came back and shut everybody up and put up 333 passing through the air to add with the 57 rushing yards.
390 total yards.
I mean,
okay. And listen, these aren't dinks and dunks. That's 10.7 yards per pass.
Yeah.
We just were talking about teams in Washington and the Giants and the Cowboys that are all like, in the range of 4 to 7 if we're lucky. This guy's throwing 10.7 yards per pass. And listen, what else did we want for them? We wanted to see Devonta Smith.
Yeah,
we wanted to see him. He had 0 catches in week 1. What did he do this week? 7 catches, 80 yards.
Yeah, and I had a typo. I'm glad you took that one because I had 7 receptions for 8 yards. I'm like looking at that like, bro, what's going on with it?
And the balance is there. 163 yards on the ground. A lot of people are like, oh, well, they have to run the ball 200 yards to be successful. They ran for 163. They threw for 333. And then what else do we want to see out of Philly coming in second week? That defense play better. Defense live up to it. What'd they do? I know it's Kirk Cousins. I know it's prime time, but Darius Slay had 2 picks. Kirk Cousins had 3 interceptions. They held Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook isn't Kirk Cousins on prime time. They had Dalvin Cook. The entire team, Minnesota team, ran for 62 rushing yards total. Do you know who led the Minnesota Vikings in rushing yards?
Don't say Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins.
God.
You want to know with how many yards he led them with? 20.
That's ridiculous.
That's the difference between a Philadelphia Eagles team and some of these other teams. I'm going to say it. My team and the Giants team is that everything that you wanted to see out of them that they didn't do in week 1, in week 2,
good point.
They were able to do. And I think that's the big difference between teams that mean business and teams that don't mean business. So shout out to the Eagles. They completely, went and looked at it. Felt like they looked at their film and said, okay, this is what we got to do. It came back and did it in week 2.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. The only thing that the asterisk I will put next to this win for the Philadelphia Eagles is you got to clean up the penalties. They had 8 penalties for 60 yards in this game, but they dominated, and they took care of business in the first half. They won the time of possession by over 10 minutes. Their third down conversions were 7 of 13, so you over 50% on third down, 7.1 yards per play. They outgained the Minnesota Vikings 486 to 264. This 24-7 victory here, it could have been way more lopsided. It seems like the Eagles took their foot off the gas a little bit in the second half. There was no threat from the Vikings. The Eagles defense was getting after the quarterback, a ton of pressures in this game. I think they only got to Kirk Cousins 2 times on the day, but Kirk Cousins had a horrible primetime game again here. Quarterback rating of 17.5. 3 interceptions like you talked about. He was 27 of 46, man, so he threw it a ton, and they found a way to shut down Justin Jefferson or, at least, restrain the numbers that he had. Contained him a bit for sure. He had 6 receptions for 48 yards on 12 targets, so he only caught 50% of his balls. Irv Smith had a pretty decent game, I noticed, but he did drop that one big play that you hit me up. You texted me right when he dropped it, but he had 8 targets, 36 yards, 5 receptions on the day. The Philadelphia Eagles held the Vikings to 4 for 12 on third down and 4.5 yards per play. You ain't winning no games like that, especially when the Eagles are dumping 7.1 yards per play on you. So 1 for 10 on Monday Night Football for Kirk Cousins. Ooh, it's better than Dale Jones. Dale Jones.
You just need Dale Jones to play Washington on Monday nights. That's the recipe because the Washington's horrible in primetime games, and Dale Jones is fantastic against Washington.
I know, right? Except last time, right? Well, no, he still had a pretty decent game.
He did. He put up some big numbers in that game.
Big numbers, though. Yeah.
He definitely passed for probably like 300+ yards.
Yeah. And he ran for a bunch in that game, too. Had the touchdown call back, but he ran for a bunch in that game as well. It just seemed like, what's weird? Man, and this just, I almost want to go over there and get these notes I got from this, the 2019 games from Daniel Jones. When Daniel Jones is playing well and he's putting up those big numbers, he lacks those big plays, that game winner play, the 4th and 1 scramble. Remember I talked about the Washington game where he had 5 touchdowns. He allowed Washington to come back in that game, scored 0 points in the fourth quarter. Washington put up 14. The game goes to overtime. He barely got it done. Thank God for Saquon Barkley's 32 yards on the ground. It kind of set us up. And then we had a 20-yard reception from Darius Slayton that set us up for the game winner. But Daniel Jones is one or the other. It seems, and I don't know if we can credit a lot of that to Brian Dable, but Daniel Jones is not making the consistent plays during the game, big plays during the game, putting up the big numbers. Numbers like this, even just the passing numbers, putting up the 300s, the 250s, 275s, things like that. When he is, he's not making the big play to win the game. So for me, I'd look for Daniel Jones to just try to find some of this balance. And you're right, it starts with the confidence. And this kid here, he's playing off all confidence, man.
100%. I mean, the dude, I don't know if you saw the clip, though, where they had it was shot really dope, too. And it was the whole team was on the side of the weights. And Jalen Hurts is squatting 600 pounds.
Dang,
and everybody and it's shot super sick, dude. Film. They were like, all right, he's about to do
Twitter?
this. Nah, I saw it. They showed it on TV during the game.
Oh, I got you.
And he squatted 600 pounds.
It's
bro.
ridiculous.
I was
It's ridiculous. Yeah, Jalen Hurts is looking like he could be a guy. I never thought he was going to be a top 5 quarterback or nothing like that. And this is just one game. But, man,
it is.
With these weapons he got, with A.J. Brown, it's I don't see this slowing down. We sitting here talking about chemistry with our teams, building chemistry, and look at these kind of numbers the Eagles are putting up.
In the same amount of time.
I'm jealous.
No excuses.
I'm going to keep it real. I'm jealous. And people still going to die on that Daniel Jones is better than Jalen Hurts stuff. Not yet. Not ton of Giants fans. Seeing it all over my Twitter again. I'm like, what kind of white rocks y'all smoking, dog? Those
are the same people that think Lamar Jackson can't throw the football.
Oh yeah, a lot of people they died on that hill now and they rolled down to the bottom and now they got to come back to reality with the rest of us because Lamar Jackson is just that guy. Ain't no doubt about it, man. He's definitely just that guy. But I love what I saw out of the Philadelphia Eagles, man. I'm worried. You guys got to see them here on Sunday. I'm worried for y'all for sure.
Yeah, you're worried. Wait, I don't want to give away my roadmap yet, but Awthentik has seen the preview to my roadmap. It consists of 3 things right now.
Run damn ball.
No. church praying and candle lighting.
Jesus, God, and a Bible.
What is it? Jesus, Joseph, and Mary. Those are your roadmap to victory.
Nah, that's real, man. But I think we could put a button on this one, man. This was a packed show, man. I'm starting to get hyped now. This is what I live for when it comes to football. Now it's who is going to run away from the pack. And that's really the question we're going to end the show with here, man. Are the Eagles going to run away from the rest of the pack in the NFC East, The Beard? I'm going to let you get this one first. Chat, y'all let me know what y'all thinking too. I got my answer for this. I definitely got my answer.
Okay, listen. Okay. Are they going to run away from the rest of the pack in the NFC East?
See, I took away that can.
I know. They might. But can they run away from the NFC East?
Are they? Money on the line right now. Are the Eagles going to win this division by at least 2 games?
Yeah. They are.
Sound like you had a deep analysis and it was just like, yeah, they're going to run away with it.
Based off of the evidence that I have right now, the Philadelphia Eagles are light years ahead of the rest of the teams in the NFC East after 2 games.
Okay, so let me really analyze this too. First 2 weeks defense. Detroit Lions, we know the strength of that team is not their defense. They allowed y'all to put up some big points and the Eagles to put up some big points. Week 2 against the Vikings, we know the Vikings, the strength of their team is not their defense either. Even though they did show up a little bit week 1, I think the Vikings got to win something like
Green Bay.
2 scores, right? They beat Green Bay 19-3 or something like that.
It was a little bit more than that. Justin Jefferson went ham.
He went extremely ham. They talked about how nobody was covering him on that spear route either all damn game. So we saw a difference in the Eagles here against the Vikings. Justin Jefferson couldn't find a way to get it clicking with Kirk Cousins. Well, how did the Packers fare out this past week?
They put it to Chicago.
They put it to Chicago. Chicago don't scare me.
Who beat the San Francisco 49ers in week 1.
Monsoon rap. You know what I'm saying? Got to take that with a grain of salt. I'm going to say the Eagles are not going to run away with the division. I think that with what we saw from Cooper Rush on that previous game, he's showing you that he can hold his own until Dak Prescott gets back. I think Dak's going to challenge the Eagles and the Giants, man. If they can get this offense clicking, I think they're going to be in the mix too.
I mean, we going to all be in the mix. You know what I'm
change
saying?
your tune. Don't change
It's
your
a Long
tune.
Island iced tea when it comes to the NFC East. We all in the mix, okay?
Ooh, 7 different liquors, huh?
Yeah, you know. But listen, if we're going off of the first 2 weeks, and that only, they look the most complete team,
Facts.
and not just by a little bit,
yeah.
by a lot
By
of
good
bit.
bit.
Yeah.
By a good
So
bit for
that's
sure.
that's my reasoning behind all
Would
that.
you-
Before y'all start
Could
coming
we
for
say
my
that they're the best team in the NFC right now?
yes.
I'm with you on that. They look like they could be
Tampa
the best
Bay
team
is
in
too
the NFC.
inconsistent. They're banged up. The Rams struggled. They got their butts whooped week 1. They struggled with Atlanta, you
Yep.
know. And then who else? Green Bay. They beat Chicago and lost to Minnesota. Minnesota
Black and
lost
wide
to
receivers
Philly.
over there. San Francisco took a hit. I think they're a better team with Jimmy Garoppolo, quarterback, though.
Yeah, and that's nothing against Trey Lance because I still have high hopes for Trey Lance. I think
Yeah.
prospect-wise, he's going to be a really good quarterback in the National Football League. He's just going to take a little bit of time, and unfortunately, a little bit more time now with this injury. But he still
Yeah,
hasn't
so
played very much
What
football.
was the injury? A broken ankle?
I think he had to have surgery to repair 2 different ankle injuries. One of them was a broken ankle. The
Yeah.
good thing is I'm, if I'm
Dislocated
not
too.
mistaken, broken is better than fractured, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think broken is better than fractured because I think the clean break is easier to recover from than a fracture.
Got you.
But I'm no doctor.
I feel you. Best of luck to Trey Lance, man, in his recovery. It's unfortunate, right? When you get your opportunity, you get, big injury like that. Reminds me of Joe Burrow last 2 seasons ago.
Yep.
Yeah, it definitely reminds me of that. But I'm going to say the Eagles aren't going to run away. You say, as of right now, they will. I'm going to say they're not going to run away with this. Eagles were a 9-win team, I believe, last year. A.J. Brown makes them a 10-win team for sure.
And Jalen Hurts playing like this makes him
Yeah,
11
this is
win
07
team.
Mike Vick Madden cover type vibes right
Hey,
here.
whoa,
son.
whoa. I don't want to hear any 07 Mike Vick on
You like that?
Eagles versus Washington week, okay?
Slayed y'all on that Monday night. We were talking about that pre-show, man. But yeah, I like the Eagles as the front runner today. Normally, this is the crazy part about the Eagles too. They normally turn it on at the end of the season. They normally start slow. This is their first 2-0 start since 2016.
That's
Yep.
And what about you guys? Was 2016 also, right?
2016 as well.
Okay.
Yep. So we'll see what happens, man. How this NFC East is going to shape out, man. I'm worried. I'm worried about those Eagles, man. I'm definitely worried about those Eagles. Definitely worried about those Eagles, man. We appreciate all y'all pulling up, man, to the show, though, man. Y'all know the vibes over here at Awthentik and The Beard, man. Chopping it up about all things NFC East, man. Anything to round this episode out for you, man?
Nah, just make sure you guys are ready for Thursday because Thursday is going to be a hard hitter. Because listen, this is the first preview show that's only 3 games because we got 2 divisional matchups with Philly playing Washington and New York playing Dallas.
Less
So
work
it
for
is
us.
it is NFC East week. I'm super stoked and yeah. Definitely just make sure you guys check out some of those links in the description. You guys can find some of Awthentik's beats in the description. You guys can find my Whatnot page. You guys can find us on Twitter, on Instagram. And don't forget, you can get that AATB 20% off at manscaped.com and free worldwide shipping. Craig.
I think I'm going to do Major League 2 tonight. We did
Major League 2 tonight.
Rookie of the Year the other night. I think we're going to do some Major League 2 vibes, man. Wild thing. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is for sure, man. But appreciate everybody pulling up to today's show, man. Good vibes over here, man. 2 hours, 20 minutes in, man. It's a good vibe over here. I got some things off my chest. I'm sure you did.
Yeah, I
Tried to,
kind of, there were some people in there in the chat that were saying, just wanted to make sure I was breathing and stuff like that.
That's how it be when you get off a good rant, dog. Yeah. You got to hold your breath on them good rants, man. You got to get them points out with emphasis, you know what I'm saying, and energy. And, you got to deliver it with passion. That's what's most important when you do a good rant. I told you I might have had a rant today. I entered rant zone for a second, and then I pumped the brakes and came back down to earth a little bit. I'm going to wait till about week 5, week 6 before y'all see them rants, man. But y'all know what it is, man. Make sure y'all check us out on Thursday. We're going to be doing our preview show. 2 big, major NFC East matchups with the Cowboys and the Giants. and the Eagles taking on them Washington Commanders. Y'all know what it is over here, man. We leave the show with them biceps. Let me see them biceps in the chat for Giants Nation and them Commanders. My buddy the Beard, left side.
Strong side.
Left side, the strong side. He gave you all that. We got a task at hand this week, man. We're going to be able to try to find a way to stop Micah Parsons getting pressure on our quarterback. And if Daniel Jones has looked uncomfortable to you to date, man, week 3, he going to look super uncomfortable. Like I said, man, we appreciate everybody pulling up, man. All the super chats, all the vibes in there, all y'all opinions. Super dope show, man. Salute to all the content creators that pulled up. I see Big Dash in the building. Mad biceps in the building. Y'all know what it is, man. We got big love for y'all over here at Awthentik and The Beard, man. And like we say and how we end every show, man, keep raising that bar. Keep living those dreams in Technicolor, because the universe flows in Technicolor. That black and white vibe is dead. Y'all know what it is over here at Awthentik and The Beard, man. We will catch y'all on Thursday for the preview show. Make sure to hit that like button on your way out, man. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new here, man. We got goals this year. We're going to raise that bar. Keep doing that and keep living those dreams. We will see y'all on Thursday at 7 p.m., man. Y'all be good. Peace.